Go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
But we have to pass the bill so that you can find out what is in it.
What? If you like your doctor, you will be able to keep your doctor.
What difference at this point does it make?
Doesn't make sense.
If you're looking to make sense out of what's going on in the world today, then you've come to the right place. Welcome to Southern Sense Talk Radio with your host, Annie, the Radio Chick-A-Dee, and featuring Curtis C.S. Bennett and the most interesting guests that you'll find anywhere on Internet radio. And you can join the show and let your voice be heard by dialing 917-889-3675. So sit back, relax, and remember, Southern Sense is common sense.
To another adventure this Friday on Southern Sense. You're listening live on Blog Talk Radio, SHR Media, Global Enlightenment Radio, iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, yes, YouTube, and iHeartRadio, up in half a dozen other places or more. I have no idea where we are. I don't know where I am at the moment. But I am your hostess with the least mostest, the Radio Chick-A-Dee, Eddie, along with my so what the heck did I get into now today, co-host Curtis C.S. Bennett. Good afternoon, Curtis. How are you?
All right. I think I'm in America. It doesn't seem like the same place I remember, though. But I don't know.
I don't know. Everything is upside down and inside out. And I have to, I have to apologize. I may seem a little flabbergasted today, but I was in the hospital last night. My blood pressure went through the roof. Thank you to the doctors and nurses that worked, and the nurse that took 5 times to finally get the IV into me because my veins kept on moving around on her. But we're here. We're here, and we're ready for another adventure here. I want to welcome everyone that's watching and listening to us up on Facebook and YouTube and our homepage, Southern Sense. The video is up live on that right now, as well as here in the chat room on Blog Talk Radio. We're going to have a fun show today. Things have gotten a little switched around, Curtis, because we're going to start off with Vaja. She is a musician, artist, she does her own cinema and everything. She's also an actress. And she happens to be the daughter of a friend of the show. And she has a new video music release out called People Are People. She'll join us at the start of the show. And her cover is actually by Depeche Mode. And it's interesting. It's different. And we'll have fun with it anyway. We were supposed to have the... Polish ambassador, he's the Consul-General here in New York, Adrian Kubicki, but he had a last-minute event that he had to show up at. I'm sorry, we're little peons here. We don't count. Those that remember one of the major attacks after Clarence Thomas became Supreme Court Justice, Robert Bork, and how we have the term now when the left goes after us, being borked. Well, his son follows in his daddy's footsteps, and he's the president of the Antitrust Education Project. He also heads the Bork Group, which is a public affairs agency. Robert Bork Jr. will be joining us. And he re-released his father's book. And we're going to be talking about that, dealing with antitrust. We're also going to have back Hannah Davis from the Heritage Foundation. So we have ourselves a lot to talk about and a lot to do. We still have the hearings going up in the House Committee on the FBI whistleblowers and their testimony. And oh boy, are things heating up there. We also have the Hunter Biden investigation. And that is really starting to hit the fan since the IRS dismissed the team and that was investigating Hunter Biden. Gee, I wonder who they did that favor for.
Oh, yeah, but they'll tell you, where's the evidence? Where's the evidence? Yeah. We don't see no evidence.
Check the bank account. And it used to be follow the money. Just follow the money. Oh, man. So like I said, we have a lot to talk about and a lot to do here. I want to again thank everyone for joining us. And as I am pulling up our home, no, that's YouTube. There's my homepage. Yes, there we are. Waving at everyone. Yeah, we're here. So, oh, man. Man, I don't know where Curtis. It's going to be a crazy day today. A very, very.
Well, it's Friday. Yeah. We can make excuses for Fridays.
Well, I don't know. I mean, we had a major weather front come through yesterday, all day and into the evening. And I got to tell you, whatever this weather front was, it packed the emergency room. People were lining up on the walls in gurneys and chairs. I mean, it was absolutely wall to wall. And I'm telling you, people are out there. They're going nuts this weekend. And I don't know what's in the weather. It's not Friday the 13th. It's not a full moon. But something's in the water. And we're going to try to see if we can find out what the heck it is. But the crazies are out there.
So it wasn't specifically because of the storms in particular. Just people decide to come to the emergency room.
No.
For one reason or another. Okay.
No. There were car accidents. There were drunks. There were assaults.
Okay.
I mean, there were, you name it. They were showing up.
There were incidentals.
Oh, yeah. They were. I mean, wow. I saw the city police. I saw the county deputies. I saw the state police. There was one guy screaming up and down the hallway. It was an absolute zoo. I felt I was in the middle of the rush hour in a New York City emergency room. That's how packed it was. And on a Thursday afternoon...
Sound like the Twilight Zone.
On a Thursday afternoon, you would think it would be quiet and it would be calm. But no, I mean, it was a three-ring circus. And God bless the men and women that worked in the ER. They kept things running. And they kept their spirits up. I didn't see anyone getting pissed off or yelling at anyone. And they'd come in the room as sweet as they could be. Just took them 5 times to get the IV in me, but I'm not going to complain.
Must have been a full moon.
No.
This was a full moon last night.
No, it wasn't. It was not. I checked.
Oh.
So that's crazy.
Oh, y'all better really dig in for the real full moon. Golly, if it was that bad last night.
Oh, it was.
Wait till the full moon comes.
Well, anyway. Let's move on with the show because people that do listen to the show know that we do start off each and every show with a dedication to a fallen hero. And today's dedication is going to go out to Senior Police Officer Trevor Abney. He's with the New Orleans Police Department in Louisiana. His end of watch was Sunday, April 9th of 2023. And I pulled this up originally from the Officers Down Memorial page that you can find at odmp.org. And it reads, Senior Police Officer Trevor Abney succumbed to complications from a gunshot wound sustained on October 30th of 2020. He and his partner were stopped at the intersection of St. Philip Street and Royal Street when a passenger in a passing pedicab opened fire on them without provocation. Officer Abney was struck on the left side of his face, and his partner suffered cuts to his arm from the shattered windshield. The subject was apprehended after a foot chase through the French Quarter. He was then charged with 2 counts of attempted murder of a police officer following the initial shooting. Officer Abney was transported to the University Medical Center, New Orleans, where life-saving measures were performed. Doctors were unable to remove the bullet, which remained lodged in his brain and blinded him in the left eye. He succumbed to complications of the wound on April 9th of 2023. Officer Abney was a United States Army Iraq War veteran and had served with the New Orleans Police Department for 7 years. He is survived by his wife and parents. And this is from Paul Murphy, Eyewitness News at WWITV. And he writes, Abney is remembered by the NOPD for his courage, commitment to duty, and strength while battling life-threatening injuries. The New Orleans police officer who survived an ambush in the French Quarter had passed. Trevor Abney passed away in his home on the North Shore. He died from complications related to a bullet wound to the cerebrum suffered during the ambush, and his death has been ruled a homicide. Abney is remembered by the NOPD for his courage, commitment to duty, and strength while battling life-threatening injuries. The October 30, 2020 attack was caught on security video. Abney was shot in the face while sitting inside his patrol car near Royal and St. Philip Streets. Police would later say Abney and his partner, Officer Brooke Duncan, who received only minor injuries, were ambushed by a gunman passing in the back of a pedicab. Police arrested the gunman, 44-year-old Donald Linwood Hassel, within minutes of the shooting. Abney spoke about the attack in an exclusive interview several months later with former WWL TV anchor Karen Swenson. When I looked back up, I saw a round circle in the windshield, dead center, he said. I immediately knew that we were ambushed. I caught it in the left cheek, and I was instantly blind. I'm shot in the face, and I couldn't even cuss like I wanted. All that came out after that was primal sounds. The type of sounds I can't even describe in writing or recreate. Abney survived the shooting with a .40 caliber bullet lodged in the middle of his brain right between his eyes. It was too dangerous to remove. That left Abney knowing one day he could possibly have a deadly seizure or stroke. With all the little bit of medical training that I've ever had, I'm like, there's no freaking way I should survive that, Abney said. I've become a little bit more religious after that. That's not just pure luck, he added. For it to wiggle worm its way around all of that and not just cause massive hemorrhaging, there's something else going on there. I've been doing a lot more praying than I did before. Officer Abney battled his injuries for 2.5 years. Mayor LaToya Cantrell sent her condolences to the Abbey family. He had a remarkable recovery and definitely just a sad loss to the New Orleans Police Department family and the city of New Orleans, and just unexpected. It was unexpected, she said. In a written statement, NOPD Interim Superintendent Michelle Woodfork said, all of us here at the New Orleans Police Department are deeply saddened to learn of the death of Senior Police Officer Trevor Abney. It is always difficult to receive the news of the passing of a fellow officer. Officer Abney was a valued member of the police department who served the community with compassion and professionalism. During his 8 years with the department, Officer Abney received a commendation for exemplary performance in the line of duty, that saved the life of a citizen, as well as the Purple Heart Medal for injuries received in the line of duty. Officer Abney joined the New Orleans Police Department in 2015. Upon completion of the academy, he was signed as a field recruit in the 5th, 6th, and 8th districts. In December 2015, he began his permanent assignment in the 8th district, where he continued to serve with distinction until he was wounded. His presence will be greatly missed by all of his fellow officers, as well as people in the community. Our most sincere thoughts and prayers are with the family of Officer Abney during this tragic and difficult times. New Orleans Mayor LaToya Cantrell issued a statement also on Abney's passing. It is with a heavy heart we mourn the passing of New Orleans Senior Police Officer Trevor Abney, who died unexpectedly. My deepest condolences to his family and to the New Orleans Police Department. Both have lost a man cherished and loved and dedicated. A decorated public service. Officer Abney will be greatly missed by his peers, family members, and the city of New Orleans. Officer Trevor Abney, stand down. You are end of tour, and we will take it from here. Today's show is dedicated to Officer Abney. It is also dedicated to all the brave men and women that serve as first responders, be they law enforcement, firefighters, or emergency services. We also dedicate this show to all the brave men and women that serve from the birth of this nation through today and into our promising future in our armed forces. We thank each and every one, and may God bless each and every one. We never say thank you enough. And we dedicate to them this song by our friend Tiffany, The Soul of Our Nation.
Let it be said, when we finish this race, we kept them free. We led with grace. Let it be seen from sea to shining sea. Beautiful America, living our legacy. Oh, father, mother, sister, brother. Oh, we gotta learn to love each other. Oh, for the soul of the nation, for the next generation. Let us be known as people of honor, humble and bold, faithful through fire. Let us hold firm to our convictions with wide open hearts, eager to listen. Oh, father, mother, sister, brother. Oh, we gotta learn to love each other. Oh, for the soul of the nation, for the next generation. Let us make room. Let us reimagine welcoming voices with true compassion. Let's craft a world with hopes and dreams. The challenges known, those still unseen. Oh, father, mother, sister, brother. We gotta learn to love each other. sure when our time has come, we gave them hope, we made them strong. Let it be said, when we finish this race, we kept them free, yeah, we led with grace. Oh, father, mother, sister, brother, oh, we gotta learn to love each other. Sister, brother, oh, we gotta learn to love each other, oh, for the soul of the nation, for all the next generation.
Soul of the Nation. And we are back. You're here listening to Southern Sense live on Blog Talk Radio, SHR Media, Global Enlightenment Radio, on iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, iHeart, Facebook, YouTube, and half a dozen other places. Just go to the name of the show, put a dash in the middle, southern-sense.com. I'm your hostess with the least mostest, Annie, the Radio Chick-A-Dee, along with my co-host, Curtis C.S. Bennett. Oh, man, Curtis, I think I'm coming down with a cold. Yeah, every time I go to the hospital, I come back sick.
Oh, don't do that.
I can't.
No, don't do that.
I got my state GOP convention. I got to go to Columbia tomorrow. I can't get sick. Oh, no, I can't do that. Oh,
that's this weekend?
That's this weekend.
That's this weekend?
Yep, that is. That is.
Man.
So I can't get sick. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. Oh, I'm just trying to... Our guest should be calling in the next few minutes. Hopefully she will. I don't know if anyone watched any of the testimony going before the Jim Jordan's House Committee dealing with these FBI whistleblowers. But I'm telling you, what we're hearing there is pretty damning. I mean, here are men that just about all of them had served in the military prior to going into the FBI. And here they swear allegiance to the United States Constitution and to their job as military. And they do the very same thing then as they're sworn in as FBI agents. And to have that very Constitution turned on its head against them, where they're deprived of their income, a place to live. In some cases, they were made homeless because of the actions of the FBI. And one gentleman had a baby that was just a handful of weeks old. And suddenly he's got no house to live in. He's sent across the country to a new post. And the day he goes to show up for duty, his first day at the new post, they tell him, oh, you're under investigation. You're suspended. You have no place to live and you're not getting a paycheck. He's got a brand new baby. How do you throw a man like that on the street with his wife and kids? He wasn't even allowed. They raided his home and confiscated all the contents of the home. So he didn't even have warm clothes for his kids. He didn't have blankets. He had nothing. And this is what our government is doing to. Yeah. And this is the United States of America.
Mentality.
But this is the country we have devolved into? Are we any worse than Nazi Germany? No, at this point, are we? I'm praying that with the media out there opening their eyes, they're going to help us rip this wide open. And we can't let ourselves be shut up. We can't. But this may be our guest, Curtis, if you'll find out if we can, and we will be happy to bring her on. But I'm telling you, folks, keep an eye and see what the media is going to be reporting about this, because this is something that it's going to break wide open soon, and I think it will. And it is. It looks like it is our guest. So let's welcome her onto the show. Well, all right, Curtis and I are doing two different things. I'm messing him up. I'm messing him up badly. Anyway, again, want to welcome everyone that's here listening to us over here on Facebook, YouTube, Stitcher, Spreaker, wherever the heck you're listening to us, as well as on Blog Talk Radio. Welcome to everyone here. And hopefully we'll have ourselves straightened out if Annie stops messing things up. And I do believe we have our guest in. Vaja, are you with us?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. How are you guys doing today?
Oh, we are doing fine. I have to apologize. I'm a little discombobulated. I was explaining to my listeners I had been in the hospital and I didn't get back home last night until after 9 o'clock at night. So everything I normally do on a Thursday to prep myself for the show went out the window. I was up at 1 o'clock in the morning. And I just at that point, I said, my eyes are really red and raw. I'm tired. I'm going to bed. And whatever happens.
It's all good. I'm just glad you're okay.
Whatever
are you
happens,
okay, though?
Yeah, it's just my blood pressure went through the roof. And I have to keep an eye on it. And they got me back under control. So I'm good. I'm here. I'm doing fine. And listen,
that's a blessing.
We had your dad on the show last week, and he was bragging about you. And as I was doing what little research I was able to do, last Sunday was Mother's Day, and you did a very, very touching tribute to your mom. And the video had your dad and mom standing on either side of you at an award ceremony. And, it was bringing tears to my eyes. And it was just so touching how your parents supported you all the way through on your career and how much they love you. It just shined in the film you put up.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your kind words.
Don't you cry.
I'll try not to. Thank you. Thank you first and foremost for having me on the show. I am just truly blessed to have the parents that I have. They definitely raised my brother and I very well, and I'm very grateful for what they've done, and they've been my inspiration my whole life, and they saw that I had a dream as a little girl. I love music, and I love films, and I've always had a gift for playing guitar and piano, and I've always been inspired by other artists growing up. And, it was just a dream of mine to have my directorial debut of People Are People, which is a cover by Depeche Mode that I did with Oscar-nominated film composer Steve Horner. And it was a dream to have it at the Chinese Theater, and for my parents to be there to see my dreams come true was definitely an honor and a blessing. So I'd like to thank my parents for everything they've done. Hi, Mom and Dad, if they're listening.
Well, I want people to get to know you a little bit, because you're just a name, and my listeners are not accustomed, because every once in a while I bring in musicians on here like I did last week, but it's few and far between. So this is something different, something special for them. So to let them know who you actually are a military brat, you and your brother. And you also come from a mixed parentage. Your mother was Asian Hawaiian, your father African American, decorated member of the military service. So you had a different upbringing than the average person on the street. Less than 10% serve in the military. So you had a different way of looking at everything around you, and different influences came into your life. And I found it strange. Growing up as a child of the 60s and 70s, I grew up in the era as rock came through and into the advent of heavy metal, and surprised to find that you, through your mom, gravitated towards that.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's funny because we moved so much. It was nice to meet a plethora of different types of people from all walks of life. So I had to learn how to adapt very quickly. We've lived in like 8 different states and cities, and so basically I was always had different influences of music, and I've always felt like I've been an old soul. I really loved classic rock growing up, and Led Zeppelin, one of my favorite classic rock bands, and the first song I ever taught myself on the guitar was Led Zeppelin's Stairway to Heaven. But before I get to that, my mother took me to my first Metallica concert when I was 12 years old for my birthday. I'll never forget, 9th row seats for my birthday. I took a limo. It was the best concert, and they blew me away. And I said, Mom, I want to play guitar. Metallica is amazing. And she bought me my first Fender Stratocaster and a crate amp, and I locked myself in the room, and I would just listen to this music over and over again, playing by ear. And Master of Puppets was another song I learned, but Stairway to Heaven was the first song I actually learned. But Metallica was the band that inspired me to play guitar, but I was just listening to, my parents had, so many great records. My dad still had a lot of vinyl records, and I remember listening to so many great bands, and David Bowie and Pink Floyd, especially. My parents loved Pink Floyd, and Wish You Were Here is another song I learned. So I've always just had appreciation for classic rock, and just Michael Jackson as well. I mean,
see,
and Grateful Dead. My brother got me into Grateful Dead.
Well, now you're going to make me feel.
I actually called Jerry Garcia.
Well, now you're making me feel really, really old, because I actually saw Jethro Tull do Stairway to Heaven. Do Stairway to Heaven live, and what a performance! It was the best.
Wow, really?
Yes. I'm sorry.
That sounds cool.
The Coliseum was right about 5 or 6 miles away from my house, and they come through New York, and they would all go through Nassau Coliseum. I think it's called something else now, but I would see Bad Company, Jethro Tull, Chicago, you name it. I mean, here I am with my girlfriend, and she and my parents would just drop us off. We were like 15, 16 years old, and they just drop us off, and they said, we'll pick you up later when it's done. There was no cell phones. There were no beepers or anything like that.
Oh, my gosh.
And, of course, here's these two little teeny boppers, and the doobies are flying over your head.
That's awesome. Did you go to Woodstock?
What's that?
Did you ever go to Woodstock?
No. Actually, my late husband did. My late husband did, and he was 10 years older than me, so he was up there for everything.
Wow.
Yeah. So, yes.
That must have been sick.
Like I said, I mean,
That's
you're making me now feel old.
No, don't feel old. You're wise, and I think it's cool that you've experienced all that, because for me, that's where I love like classic rock, and like, do you remember Inagata Davida by Iron Butterfly?
Oh yes. Oh yes.
I love that song.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yep. I listened to Mountain. Oh my God. I half the stuff I even forget, and then all of a sudden I hear it play. It's like, oh geez, I haven't heard that in years. Yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah.
Holy moly. And I'm trying to think of I'm trying to think of Grand Funk Railroad, the first original Milli Vanilli. Grand Funk Railroad.
That's funny.
Yes. But, I found it interesting that you did gravitate towards something like Metallica, because, that's not what I would imagine someone as young as you are would be drawn more to. Which surprised me, because now, like you said, as an old soul, you do gravitate towards that. But it's amazing how our parents can also influence our choices, because few people realize that, I sometimes when I want to just zone out, I'll turn on Pandora and I'll go into classical music. And I will go to sleep with that just to calm me down. And it's amazing how our parents have influenced our choices throughout life.
Oh, my parents were a big influence on me, and also my brother. He was the one that got me into Grateful Dead, and especially Depeche Mode. I mean, Depeche Mode is my all-time favorite band in the world. Their music has always resonated with me, and their music is timeless. And even to this day, I can listen to all their records on repeat and never get sick of it. There's just something about the frequency and the sound and their choices, and it just really resonates with me. So that's why they're my favorite band, and that's why I did People Are People, because that song just really touched me, especially because I'm biracial, and I grew up with my family, and we had to deal with a lot of challenges growing up, and especially my parents, and they paved the way for my brother and I to have a better life, and I'm very grateful for that. And it is important that we have parents teach, our young kids, how to have respect and morals and honor, and whenever we do, and to love people for who they are, and not see color or race, because we are people and we have to love each other.
Absolutely.
And Tiger Woods seemed to have overcome all those type of things, racial things, with just his sheer talent and ability. And that's what people look towards when they see Tiger Woods. They don't look at his race or whether he's biracial or this or that and the other. They look at him as a talent, and that's a beautiful thing, going forward.
Yeah, you're right. Thank you.
Well,
I agree.
Now, you're not just a singer, guitar player. You're also an actress. You also produced your own videos, so there's a lot of talent around. You've also worked in several different areas of Hollywood, such as you did CSI, an episode there. You've done a couple of different movies. You also had classical training in acting, too.
Yes, ma'am. I went to film school and took acting classes. I went to Stella Adler here in Hollywood, and I even with films, my brother got me. My brother has been a very big influence in my life as well, because I have an older brother. And my favorite movie in the whole world is Blade Runner, the very first one. And I can just tell you that movie has basically paved the way for me. It's how I see things, and I've seen so many great films, and I feel like music and film are tied together. So that's why I've been so passionate about both industries, and I feel like they're as one. So I'm just very passionate about creating art and making sure that anything that I do, that I touch, is unique and it's never been done before. I want something that has more essence behind it, and not just do something that's already been done, because I like creating things that are original. And I feel like everything that my brother and my family has inspired me to see, and also my experience growing up, it's just everything that I create has to be something that's original and unique. So,
well, yeah. I'm a little bit jealous too. I've always had a dream. I always had a dream that one day I would sing the national anthem, the Star Spangled Banner. And the only way I came pretty close, my girlfriend and I, we went to the Trump inauguration. She was working for one of the congressmen. So we got up close. But when they did the national anthem, I'm singing my heart out. And my girlfriend looks at me. She goes, "Dang, I didn't know you could sing." But you did that.
Well, it's never too late.
Well, I don't know at my age, but you did it not once, but
age is only but a number. You're never too old.
Well, that's why I'm not older. I'm wise. Thank you. I'm going to use that now.
That's right. Beautiful and wise.
Thank you. That means your father was lying to you about what I look like.
No, my father never lied.
So
he's honest.
So
honest gentleman.
Being an old soul, and me knowing your father, you must know what a LP and 45 record is.
Yes, sir. Long play.
Right. Okay. She's old school. All right.
I'm old school and new school.
I could go further, 8-track and CD. I mean, what's the cassette tapes, but we won't go there.
No, I'll go.
I'm all about nostalgia.
Oh, no, I'll go even further, because I've got a Victrola in my living room, and I do have the 38s. There's actually a lot of the 38s that go back to the late 20s and 30s. Oh, yeah.
You're an OG.
But now, like
cool. Real to real.
What I was mentioning is that you did do the national anthem not once but twice at the Staples Center. And what was that like?
It was a dream come true. I was blown away that I had the opportunity to do it. Jerry West is my mentor, and he's the one that gave me that amazing opportunity. And I did it during the Lakers game versus my hometown Indiana Pacers. So that was pretty cool. Right. My first time, and it was such an honor, and I did it for our country, and especially my father, who has, served our amazing United States of America to fight for our country, and it was just such an honor to do that. And then they asked me to come back again for the 4th of July for the WNBA Sparks, and this was cool because they had all the Girl Scout girls there behind me with the flags, and it was just great. So doing it a second time was amazing, and I look forward to doing it again, and hopefully the next time will be NFL. So
well, my other dream is to, gentlemen, start your engines at a NASCAR race. That's going to be a cup race.
Be careful what you wish for. That would be cool.
Oh, no. Let me put it this way. There was one time I had to yell at someone to stop, and I was on a foot post, and the nearest foot post was another 2 blocks down in New York City. And I yelled it so loud that they came running 2 blocks over thinking I was in trouble. No, I can belt it out.
Wow.
I can belt it out.
Aw, that's awesome.
No, I actually scared Newt Gingrich once. I did. The press was crowding the stage, causing the stage to start tip over, and I bellowed, "Get off the stage!" And he stopped and looked at me like, out of a tiny little thing came this roaring voice.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's funny.
It's
wow.
the mouth
So
that roars. Go ahead, Curtis.
You mentioned NBA legend Jerry West. Have you been fortunate to run into some of your role models in person? The people you look up to, admire?
Yeah, I mean, because of my mother, I got to meet Martin Gore, Depeche Mode, when I saw them back in Florida during the Violator tour. The Violator record was one of my favorites. But I got to meet him and took a picture with him. But yeah, it's really interesting because everything I've ever dreamed about and manifested, it's come true. And me even being in Hollywood is a dream. But yeah, I mean, I met Adrian Young from No Doubt. It was like around high school. My friend was kind of dating one of the bass player, and they invited us to Jacksonville, and we went on their tour bus, and I met Gwen Stefani and the whole band. And I remember talking to Adrian Young, and I said, "What does it take to make it?" Because my dream is to move to Hollywood and pursue my music career. And he's like, "Well, it took us a decade to make it, and just whatever you do, don't give up on your dreams." And literally a decade later, I come to Hollywood with my mother, and she's my manager, and she goes, she gets me into Guitar Center. They have 60 posters of me across the United States, holding my guitar next to all the rock stars, Robert Smith from The Cure, who's also one of my idols. And I go to the drum off competition. I walk the red carpet. The guy that shot me, Robert Knight, he's a very famous photographer. He's like, "Vaja, go stand next to Adrian Young of No Doubt." And I saw him, and I was like, "Adrian, I don't know if you remember me, but I met you over a decade ago, and you told me to never give up on my dreams. I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for inspiring me to come to Hollywood with my mother, and I'm out here trying to make it. So thank you." And he tapped me on the shoulder, and he goes, "Let me know if you ever want me to play drums on your record." He goes, "Take my cell phone number." I'm like, "Really?" He's like, "Yeah." And I could not believe what just happened right there. And I actually called him, and he came up and drove up from Long Beach and played on my first EP, which was an alternative rock EP called "Wakened by Silence." And he literally came up, and it was just the coolest experience. And I just like to thank Adrian Young for that. But that's one of the best highlights of my life. But yeah, he's one of my mentors and idols too, so it was cool. But yeah, there's just so many people that I've met in my lifetime and my idols that it's just been a blessing. It's like you meet people in your life, and you get a piece of them, and a lot of musicians and artists and even actresses and athletes that I've met. They're just so inspiring, and I look up to a lot of people, and it's great. So,
well, before we get to playing your song, I just want people to get a little bit more of a feel for you. I just was worked out a great question in my mind. Oh, I forgive me. You do a lot of live performances, and you've got some of those videos up on your YouTube channel, which I encourage people to watch, to see, because they can listen to your music, but to see you perform it brings it up to a whole new level. What are some of the favorite places you love to perform at, and then film that performance to put up for your fans to watch and listen?
Well, I can tell you right now that the best place I felt like it was such an honor to play at was the Viper Room. And I got to play that with Adrian Young of No Doubt. That was my favorite place to play at because it was such a legendary venue. So that was pretty cool. And then I got to play and open up for Metal School, which is now Steel Panther, and that was a place called the Key Club. So this was all in Sunset Strip. Most bands, a lot of bands that I've talked to and stuff, and everyone knows that you can play down the Sunset Strip. That's like, it's very historic. So for me to have played at these places was such a blessing. So yeah, there's been, in Staples Center was great to play at too, but I look forward to doing more shows this year. I just got to finish writing more music, but yeah. Viper Room is probably my favorite place.
When you do these shows, you have a set band that works with you all the time, correct?
Well, at this time, I'm going to start auditioning bandmates to be in my band because I'm a solo artist. So every time I've done projects, I put the band together. So it's not like a solid band yet, but it will be.
You want to keep a steady sound, then? You want to keep it consistent, then, wouldn't you?
Well, yeah. Well, I work with my current producer, Steve Horner. So we're the ones that are producing and creating the music, and then the band's going to accommodate what I'm producing with him. So that's how we're doing it right now. So
all right, now your outfits. Girl to girl, we got to talk. Those are some really absolutely stunning and outrageous at times outfits. Is there any one person you go to, or is it just that people come with ideas to you and you say, hey, listen, I'll take that one. Forget about that.
Well, it's my mother and I have always been pretty good about finding my own style. And when I was playing in my first rock band out here, my mother actually made me a lot of those cool outfits herself. She's so talented with that. And my grandmother passed away, and she had this really cool purple outfit that my mother kept, and my mom made my dress. So it was kind of cool to wear that to pay homage to my grandmother. But a lot of the stuff that you see, like especially in like my music video, I styled myself. I'm just very particular with everything I do. I'm very much into detail. And I love clothes that are like avant-garde and just edgy and sexy, but always classy. You'll never see me twerk, I can tell you that.
Well, I'll tell you what, you show up in a pair of raggedy old shorts and a T-shirt, you're still going to look sexy because you're an absolutely stunning individual. And I'm sure it doesn't turn your fans away. That's for sure.
You're sweet. Thank you.
Now, also,
very kind.
I see that you love to change your hairstyle. Most people, you get one style and you stick to like one or two variations of it, but you like to just test the waters. And you know what? You look fantastic in every single one of them. I recently cut and dyed my hair, and I'm looking at my face in the video going, what the hell did you just do to yourself?
You're funny. Thank you. Yeah, I love changing my hairstyles all the time, and I'm an artist, so I think I have a way of just presenting myself like a chameleon. And I think when you're a creator, it's good to be different and show different sides of me. So.
Absolutely. Now, the song that you just debuted, "People Are People" by Depeche Mode, it is a perfect time to release something like this because we're finding so many people no longer can get along with their neighbors. I mean, growing up, you always had that crazy Uncle Charlie, and you'd go to Thanksgiving dinner. Of course, it's always loud and boisterous, and by the time the night was over, it's like, I'm glad I don't have to see Charlie for another year, but you still loved him. It was your crazy uncle. You still got along. You still sat down and you ate and you shared drinks, and you still got along. But you always knew that, hey, listen, that's their quirks. So what? Just move on and accept them for who they are. But for some reason, our society's not doing that anymore. How do we bring them back together?
With this song, People Are People. I hope I can be a great role model to our next generation and to our current society. And I don't understand where's all the anger coming from. I've always been built off peace, love, and happiness. Love my neighbor, and I've always been just a positive person. And I still feel like it's important that it comes from the home. Parents are very important in a child's life, and that the younger generation needs to learn and respect our parents, no matter what, because they're the ones that give us vision and respect for others. I mean, we have to have rules. I mean, I think there's nothing wrong with having rules in life and society, and people need to understand that and respect that. Because if you don't, then people are going to run wild like crazy animals. So it's important for me as an artist to be a great role model and to project positivity through my music. And I feel like all artists, it's our duty. If we have a gift, we have to give it away. I don't do music for myself. I do it for humanity, because we're all going to die. The goal is not to live forever. The goal is to create something that will.
Well, I would say that music has always been a medium that brought people together, no matter what their background or culture or whatever. You could just see some of the concerts. You got a blend of people, and I like music because of that reason. Besides the good music and how it sounds. I just wanted to add that.
I think that's beautiful, and you're right, because music can change the world, and there's something about music, and it's a frequency of connection. And I saw a great video about this. I think she was like 85 years old. A beautiful grandmother, and she was a famous ballet dancer, and she had dementia, and they gave her headphones and played her favorite songs that she danced to. And she never moved and everything, but when they put the headphones on, she just woke up out of her coma in a way, and she was dancing in her wheelchair. I cried and I had goosebumps, but it just shows you the power of music. It just literally woke her up, and they had flashes of her scenes of her dancing when she was young. It was the most beautiful, touching thing, but I don't know what the lady's name was, but if you Google it, older woman with dementia, ballet dancer, it was so touching. But for me, that is just the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. And they've done this test on a lot of older people. It's something about music that just resonates and makes them remember things. And it also just brings you back to a time, when you hear a song, it's just so beautiful.
Well, there's also, this very well, there are people that can play a song or some music, but all they're doing is they're reciting the notes. There's no emotion. There's nothing of themselves being put into it. Whereas someone like yourself and others, when you play the music or when you sing the song, you are the music. You are the song. And that's the difference, where you can hear a certain song and it just doesn't move you in the least bit. But where you hear the music that you play, it resonates inside the individual. And I've noticed that all the songs that I've been able to listen to that you have, there's a message, there's a purpose, and there's definite emotion that you try to evoke and try to send out to the person as part of the message in the song. That's not easy to do.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I mean, everything that it's really interesting. I was thinking about this the other day. I think a lot of the songs that my original stuff that I've written, it's always about love. And it's either been, songs of love about being hurt or about loving someone or losing somebody. But yeah, I feel like it's coming from my soul, which is always going to be about love.
Well, I wish
love is a beautiful thing. And
well, I wish I could get the video up on right here on YouTube and Facebook, but I can't. We'll play the music, but I'm telling people they want to see this video, which they should. They really should. It would really bring home what you're trying to say in the song. If they go to your website, which is Vaja Music, VAJA Music, they can see it. You also have it up on your YouTube channel as well as your IMB, IMBP page. Brain fart there.
Yeah, IMDb.
Yeah.
Okay. That's funny.
I've got one of them too, and I just forget I have it up there. It just sits there. I pay for it too.
It's okay.
I pay for it too.
Hey, it's all good. Yeah, they could just go to vajamusic.com. That's VAJA music.com, and then all my other social media links are on there. But yeah.
Well, as people listen to the show, a lot of them listen to the archives. There's a link on the show description under People to People. All they do is click on People to People, and they can go straight to your page and watch the video and listen to the music. So if you're willing, I will play your song, People Are People. Are you ready?
I was born ready. Thank you.
All right, here we go.
Different colors and we're different breeds, and different people have different needs. It's obvious you hate me, though I've done nothing wrong. I've never even met you, so what could I have done? I can't understand what makes a man hate another man. Help me understand. People are people, so why should it be? Get along so awfully. People are people, so why should it be? You and I should get along so awfully. Now you're pushing and you're kicking and you're shouting at me. I'm relying on your common decency. So fluorine hasn't surfaced, but I'm sure it exists. It just takes a while to travel from your head to your feet. I can't understand what makes a man hate another man. Help me understand. People are people, so why should it be? You and I should get along so awfully. People are people, so why should it be? You and I should get along so awfully. I can't understand what makes a man hate another man. Help me understand. Help me understand. I can't understand what makes a man hate another man. Help me understand. Help me understand what makes a man. Why should it be another man? Help me understand. Help me understand what makes a man. Why should it be another man? Help me understand.
Thank you, guys.
all the credits and all the people that helped you put this all together. A phenomenal group of people that you had worked with, and talented actors on there. Absolutely wonderful. And you did the whole production, little tiny you.
Aw, well, I couldn't have done it without my dream team. It was very, it was an honor to work with so many great, talented people in my crew, and I couldn't have done it without them and my sponsors and everybody a part of it, and my friends who are all actors in my video. It takes a village.
And it takes two special people in there too. I noticed their names. See, I do my homework. There was two special names in there. I wonder who they were. Was it the same last name as yours?
Yeah, my parents were they were part of the executive producer team, and I had a lot of great people involved, and it was just a dream come true. I can tell you that. And I'd like to thank everybody who helped our project come to fruition, because it took us 2 years to get this video done. I had to raise the money on my own and take our time to find the locations, and everything just came together. I believe if you put out good energy in the world, it comes back to you. So that's how I see things.
It is absolutely beautiful, and I wish you a lot of luck. And come back again and give your mom and dad a hug from us, because you know what? They raised an amazing, amazing young woman, and I'm sure your brother's just as fantastic as you are.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate your kind words, and thank you from the bottom of my heart for having me on your show. And you guys have been great, and thank you so much.
Well, God bless.
It's an honor.
It has been. It has been an absolute honor.
Thank you.
You take care now. All right, and
Thank you. You guys have a great day.
You too. And you can find her at Vaja, VAJA music.com. Check her out there. All right, Curtis, I see that you've got someone else in here that I didn't know she was going to show up, but it is a great pleasure.
Yeah, Lucretia, our good old firebrand from Georgia.
Yeah, I just see that she
How y'all doing?
Yeah, she just snuck in on us.
Doing great.
And that's great. Thank you for fooling me.
Well, I appreciate being asked to come back on.
Oh,
yeah,
you're always welcome. But I have to. It's mostly my fault, because between my husband getting really sick and passing away, and then everything hit me all at once, just my mind has not been. It is getting back. It's getting back, and I got a new man in my life that's helping me do that.
All right now.
All right.
Yeah, there's no snow on the top of this this roof here.
The thrill ain't gone. That's all I'm saying.
Wow. So what's going on up there in Georgia?
Nothing is really going on. Paying attention to all the impeachment inquiries that Marjorie Taylor Greene is doing, keeping my eye out on not only what's happening in the United States, the pause of the debt ceiling. We had our rally last week. I'm still doing the shows, getting, still out there speaking, just, trying to get people to pay attention to what's going on.
Now, Stacey Abrams, is she still giving you a really hard time down there?
Oh, no, she done disappeared. Don't talk her back up. And have nobody heard from her. And, oh, no, ma'am, don't do that. But we have not heard anything about her.
Well, last I heard she was going to different states trying to close up her trouble there. But I haven't seen hide or hair. I mean, I guess hopefully the media forgot about her. We haven't, but hopefully they have.
Well, I wouldn't even say it like that. Remember, we didn't hear a hide, a hair of John Kerry or Barack Obama, and look what we found out they was doing the whole session of President Trump tenure.
Yeah. Well, let's just hope that we can get our nation back, because right now DeSantis was up in New Hampshire, and I didn't get to watch the end of his little spiel, but he sounded like he was running. And I don't know about that.
Well, regardless if he, until he gets out there and decide that he's going to run, way to go, DeSantis, for all he's doing for Floridians. But regardless if he jump in the race or not, I'm going to stand beside Donald J. Trump, and no one else going to do it after he's been attacked this all this time. So the best person that I'm an 80-20 with when it comes to leading the United States and getting back on on track, will be Donald J. Trump. I could care less who jumps in the race. I don't care if it's Tim Scott. I don't care if it's Nikki Haley. I don't care if it's the world elitist whispering in other people's ears. It's going to be Donald J. Trump for me until I've learned that he slept with Hillary Clinton.
I don't know. That just puts something really bad in my mind's eye. Now I can't get rid of that. Oh, come on.
I need therapy now. I need some serious
You know what?
therapy.
It's like this. Shocker that he's a billionaire and had many girlfriends and liaisons. That ain't got nothing to do with me. His life and his personal life before he was decided to come down that escalator had nothing to do with me. And, if he was being praised by the NAACP, he was being praised by the Democratic Party, he was being praised by the progressives and the rhinos. So this man has been concrete and consistent in his beliefs of God, family, and country, and I'm going to stick with that man, and that's Donald J. Trump.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
He's not paying me. So anybody out there, say, oh, he's paying her. No, I pay attention. That's totally different.
Girl, we miss you. We miss you. And I have to make sure I don't do that again and get you back on. Matter of fact, I was coming across something just 2 days ago, and I saw your name, and I said, you know what? I got to pick up the phone and call her. I honestly, truly did. And you were on my mind. So, you're not too far away from my heart.
I'm going to tell you this like I tell everybody else that I respect, honor, and admire, and that has been in this type of field for a very long time. When the Holy Spirit or God Almighty Jesus Christ places you randomly places my name randomly on your heart or in your spirit, that means that I'm being attacked or I need to be lifted up or I need prayer. So never ever doubt the Holy Spirit, because he never makes accidents, and I don't believe in coincidences. So when you were saying a couple of days ago that you were supposed to pray for me, which people did not know, is that I got into a very deep depression, because we held the faith over fear. When you put so much energy in an event and then it's all said and done, my mind usually goes to the negatives of what I could have done, should have done, if I could have go back in time. So I sat on my couch all day Monday having a woe is me attitude, doubting everything that God has placed in my life. So at that time that he asked you to pray for me is because I was very, very, very dark Monday. And I appreciate it if you was one of the people that lifted me out of that darkness.
I was sitting there going, I haven't talked to that girl, and I'm just praying and hoping that everything was all right with you. Honestly, that was what was going on in my mind. And it was telling me that I've got to get a hold of you. So see, that Curtis was the facilitator. And I guess the good Lord sent him the message to bring your butt over here.
And I should have listened to Curtis. I should have listened to you all these many years, that I have to tread lightly and don't trust a lot of people. So what I failed to do is continue to promote myself, my mom, and my husband, and all the hard work we did. And I put our lives on pause for someone else. But I promise you that will not happen again, and that I must focus on the path that God has placed me on, regardless if I stumble and trip, but just get up, dust my kneecaps off, and keep on going.
And you're still doing the Real News podcast, right?
Yes, ma'am. Tonight's show is 1352.
Wow. 1350. I don't even know what number I'm up to. I can't tell you. I mean, after 13 years, I have no idea. But I do know.
You know what? We have a live chat, and we talk about all of the events that are happening that day. We don't run out of topics. And we just have a great time and entertain and read articles and inform each other. Because if we don't hold each other accountable as being a community, red, yellow, black, white, gay, or straight, then we're going to truly allow this nation to fall. But at least we wake each other up and talk about what's right there right now, no matter if it's from the BBC all the way to mainstream media. A whole bunch of people just get in our chat room and we talk about what's going on. And maybe that's why a whole bunch of us wasn't bamboozled by that scamdemic.
That's wonderful. But you want a little something on a lighter note? I love it when someone ends up shooting themselves in their own foot. Do you remember Sam Britton?
Uh-oh. Yeah. Oh, he got arrested again. He was on the fugitive watch list. They arrested him yesterday. Yes, ma'am.
Now, this is a gift that keeps on giving.
I just read that article. I'm going to talk about that thing tonight.
Well, I'm stealing it. No, you're stealing it from me. But I came across it and I said,
he got arrested. Guess what airport they finally, put him as a felon on? He was at Reagan's International. Are you crazy? Let me advise everybody out there. There's too many politicians, too many dignitaries, too much Secret Service, too much TSA to think you're going to get away with anything at Reagan International Airport. And for this guy to be part of the nuclear squad and stealing other people, you couldn't afford those tacky dresses he was stealing. I'm asking myself now because he wasn't cute. That was not cute.
that was the fuggliest guy I ever saw in the dress. I'm sorry.
That's a true definition of a demon, okay? A demonic person. You look at his eyes. People want to say, and my grandmother used to say this, my granddaddy, watch people. Look them in their eyes when you shake in their hands. If you get a funny feeling, the windows are the eyes to the soul. His eyes is creeped-o-matic. It seems like everyone almost all of them have something about them that makes my neck tick, that wants me to back away. That's everybody in the West execs. That is Biden. That is Hunter. That is all of them. It's something about their aura that is completely, they should not be in office.
No.
They shouldn't be. And now, finding out about the whistleblowers in the FBI and how they have targeted conservatives, targeted Catholics, targeted parents, and to tick up numbers for domestic terrorists, that's a shame.
Yeah.
That is a shame.
No, it is. It is absolutely. And, when I was hearing about all this other stuff and hearing about the attack on the Roman Catholics, now I was raised Roman Catholic, Italian Roman Catholic. You can't get any more Roman Catholic than an Italian. And my mom, with her church one day, was doing this rally. They're doing a prayer rally. They just stood at a main intersection on the curb out of everyone's way and prayed. And they were praying for life. They were praying for the preborn child. And it was a pro-life prayer rally. And I made my mom a T-shirt for herself and for me. And on the front, and I swear I am going to find the design. I'm going to put it up and put it on my webpage if people want to order it through me. But it's a Madonna-shaped woman holding an infant. And on the back, I quoted Timothy where he said, "I knew you in the womb." And on the front, I wrote on it, it said, "I thank God my mom chose life." And you think about that. Here you got these women protesting for pro-choice. Well, if their mother had made that pro-choice moment, they would not exist. And I never hear anyone
Or in layman's terms, why in the world are the ones that are breathing trying to eliminate the ones that are not?
Yes. There's two arguments there that no one ever asks them. And if you were to ask them, they have no answer except my choice, my body. Wait a minute. That heart is a separate heartbeat. That brain is a separate brain. The only thing that connects it to you is an umbilical cord that once cut, his life or her life is completely independent of you. So, no, it's a separate life. When you want to think about it physically. But if you listen to what we are told in the Bible, that we were known before we were even born, we were known to be individuals, children of God. What part of a separate individual do you not get?
The ones that are scrubbing out of the biblical Holy Scripture. What do you expect when the New World Church literally went to Mount Sinai 2 months ago? Went to Mount Sinai when Moses came down from the 10 Commandments from the mountains. The New World Church just went up to Mount Sinai and came back with their own 10 Commandments. But what do you expect when they allow the Vatican to literally change the prayer? I'm sitting here like, how in the world, where's the church? Where's the church? Where's your mama and them? Okay, they probably passed away. But where is us picking up that mantle? Where is us picking up that torch? Where is us, the ones that's supposed to be out here and be bold and in truth? I forgot we're being targeted by way also Maverick Garland and the rest. Never mind, I answered my own question. So who do we turn to? Yeah. Who do we turn to? Because we have a Constitution of the United States, and we are seeing the treasonous acts that are coming from the head of the snake. Who do we turn to get our nation back beside ourselves? And that's not including being attacked from the southern border with this invasion.
No.
I want to ask you about that. How are Georgians liking this influx of illegals to their sanctuary cities? Are they still embracing this, or are they starting to rethink this? Me personally, I have no idea about what's going on in Atlanta, because Atlanta, it's a couple of the blue cities that are sanctuary. But look what happened with Keisha Lance Bottom, Black Lives Matter. You have a lot of people inside of Atlanta that is getting very angry. Let me shock you for a minute, CS. There's been a lot of violence on the street. You know who stood up for the first time on ATL Atlanta Fox 5? The black men of Atlanta, denouncing the violence and the liberal policies of Atlanta.
Wow.
We talking about the old ones. Yes, it was
when did this happen?
Men. This was this month, still May. So it's the end of April. They sat up there and they unified I haven't seen the black men of Atlanta and the Democratic Party, who actually raised my type, to get back on the forefront. But to see they're back out there, maybe they know that even the black community is God family country, like the Italian community, the Hispanic community, and the legal Americans. And finally, they standing back up. And I was shocked, I tell you.
It's about time. I mean, when it hits home and it hits in your very backyard, that's when you realize, wait a minute, maybe it's gone too far. But they allowed it to come into their backyard. And now they're saying, well, if government's not going to take care of it, maybe we should. But isn't this what our founding fathers did? That very thing? He said, government's not going to take care of it. We're going to take care of it, and we're going to make sure everything goes the way we want it to. And
now, I'm going to go ahead and shock you a little bit more.
Go ahead.
If the Department of Education was founded in 1972 or 3, everybody just started being dumb. I'm going to say that one more time, because my grandfathers and grandmothers and mothers, y'all weren't dumb at all. Y'all had to go to school. Y'all walked those 10 miles. Y'all walked those 5 miles. When the Department of Education came along, when you understand it is nothing but a offshoot of the prison industrial complex and the way everything is set up. And now that the numbers are coming out, we'll just take Los Angeles out there in California. 20% of the students, black students, are proficient at their own reading. 11% is proficient in math. What do you expect when they don't know no better? What do you expect when you don't learn civics? What do you expect when there's no discipline, there's no honor, there's no loyalty, there's no structure anymore? We had to get racked on our knuckles, but now the teachers are getting racked across the heads.
Yeah, and now they're still complaining. They're complaining, but wait a minute. You allowed that education to come into the system. Now, as a teacher, shouldn't you be going and saying to your superior, to this principal, or to the school board, wait a minute, there's something wrong with this curriculum. When you start teaching preschoolers about gender identity, something's wrong here. When you as a teacher know that child cannot even comprehend the idea of gender identity. When you now have Common Core math coming through the classroom and they can't even add 2 + 2. And of course, I went before my school board and they were trying to say that they had like 1/10 of a vote on one individual. And I had a sign saying, this is not Common Core math. They didn't like me too well. But when you also have where the community is not involved in the education, it's not just the parents, It's the whole community, because you're paying your taxes, and those taxes are paying for the school system and for the education. So how you choose your tax dollar to be spent and who you choose to spend it is going to determine how your community is going to grow or not grow. So even if you don't have kids, you get your butt
take
to the school
it from
board.
The Reaganomics of it all, and I'm not talking about no disparaging Ronald Reagan, because that top-up mentality is what got us in this righteous indignation of wussification of a whole generation. When we have our school board superintendent. His name is Richard Woods. He was great, and then until he said, we got to stop taking their money. Who money? We got to stop taking the feds' money. The feds came in and did different curriculum, starting all the way back to George W. Bush Jr., when Race to the Top and the rest of that. When they started implementing those type of policies, and we at the local level and the state level relinquished our rights, what did people think supposed to happen? I didn't start paying attention to 12 years ago, and this stuff been going on for decades. Where are my older folks at that should have been standing in the gap for my generation, Generation X, who they allowed to be slaughtered in the womb to begin with? And I was born in 1974. So when you said, thank God my mama allowed me to live, she was black, she was poor, she was married. I shouldn't have been here. So I'm trying to figure out if I could talk about this stuff, and some of this stuff was enacted when I was crawling. How in the world, all this compound interest, voila, this is what we end up with.
Well, unfortunately, I was one of the ones that was a kid going through the school as it was changing. And when they brought in, they called it health education. And the second they did that, and here I am, a young teenager going, wait a minute, that's the foot in the door. And you're right, they tied federal dollars. So they put their foot in the door with health education. And they said, well, we're just going to teach you about like pneumonia and tuberculosis and this and that. Well, then they got into reproductive, and they then branched out from there. The second they went into reproductive, it's like, oh no, these kids are, they're going through puberty, and they need to understand what they're going through. It's for their mental health too. Well, then they put in mental health. And this was before I even graduated high school. In the first 2 years, they brought it in. And then suddenly there was never a moment of prayer anymore. It was a moment of silence. And then it wasn't no longer just a moment of silence. You don't stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. You could elect to sit down. Oh, wait a minute. You don't even want to hear that. You can leave the room. And when they started to break that down, they began to break down our moral code. You break down the moral code. You take God out of your life. And then you put government in its place. And this is what we have been doing.
Because I'm nosy, and your generation taught me to suck up everything y'all say, but I need to sit in the corner and listen. Let me tell you, when it happened in the black community, CS backed me up because I'm finna sound like my dad and them. It happened in LBJ. It happened during segregation. It happened when the black fathers and the father figures started leaving the homes in the black community. This is when it started happening, when you would get paid more money for sitting on your tail and actually birthing babies and getting rid of the fathers. It started happening when Margaret Sanger and the Democratic Party jumped in bed with Stalin and also, Hitler and the rest of them. This stuff has been going on forever, but now that we're here, we got to continue to take your legacy, what your parents taught you, what CS and his parents and my grandparents taught us, and latch on to my grandchildren. Because, yes, they're in the school system, but they spend a lot of time with grandma also. So this is the time that we need to have that oral history. This is the time that we need to be the motivators, and this is the time that we need to be the straight-up parents and parental guidance and guardians that God has blessed us to make sure that we guide these grandchildren in the right way.
And from this point, it is up to us to reach out to our elected officials, whether it's school board, state, or federal, and say, this must stop. And I'm going to tell you, tomorrow, I'm heading up to Columbia here in South Carolina for the state GOP convention. And one of the resolutions we have on there.
Not tomorrow. It's not tomorrow, is it?
It is tomorrow. It is tomorrow. I've got my. Oh, yes. Oh, yes, it is tomorrow, the 20th.
Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah. I got myself a 3-hour ride.
I'm just going to miss that one. I am literally going to miss it then.
Well, if you drive up to my house, we can probably, I don't know if I can get you in as a guest, but I'm carpooling. I'm leaving here 7 o'clock in the morning, and you're just a couple hours away from me. You can come over to my house. We'll carpool.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it is tomorrow. It is tomorrow. But one of the resolutions I'm saying is that they're going after these social programs that they put in for social justice, governance, and all the other BS. I'm going to read that resolution, and there's a new one out that I found out just this past show. It is social educational learning. So if there's something preventing that child from learning that is a social issue, what's a social issue? Race, gender, religion, economic situation. So any of these little tiny things that may cause you to be disabled from learning will put a branded number on you, which will follow you for the rest of your life. So then now they will determine whether or not you can get that job or that education or live in that neighborhood, and you become a ward of the state for the rest of your life. This is scary. And I'm going to see if they're aware of that, and add it to the resolution.
Yeah. Is that social emotional
social
scam
emotional learning.
they run
Yes, social emotional. I said social education. Social emotional learning.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that scary, Lucretia?
Wow. Very scary. It's very. So what do we do, though? What as a collective whole, and we have our platforms, what do we do?
We take the dollars.
We press our legislators to do something about it.
We take the dollars not from the federal government, but from the local community. We allow the dollars to follow the child, not the child follow the dollar. Bring the control of the education back to the parent, and let the parent decide what that child will learn. And when we do that, we become we the people once more.
Hey, man. There's so much going on.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So we've got the educational savings account here now in South Carolina. I know Florida has theirs. Theirs is, I believe, $8,500 that goes to the child. Goes to actually the family.
Oh, no, it's June the 10th. It's June the 10th. June the 10th in Columbus, South Carolina. Georgia, sorry.
That in Georgia.
You made me scared.
No. Mine here in South Carolina is tomorrow.
It's tomorrow. Tell everybody I said, hey. I was getting ready to start packing. Because I'm a delegate for Georgia State. That is so, we take our civic duties and our responsibilities and our passion to do the right things. We take this so serious that we are delegates to our state. We pay attention to our different states, national, locally, and internationally. And it's just amazing to me that us being regular people, me, you, CS, everyone's listening, that we can see how it kind of started, where we are right now, and we're trying to figure out what we need to do as being the grown folks in the room to try to save our nation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, there's a lot of work, but it starts, and you and I have been saying this from the very beginning, from the grassroots. And that grassroots is you. It's me. It's the listeners out there. It's your neighbor across the street. It's your kids, your family, your friends. They're the grassroots. And unless we stand up and speak, no one's going to listen. And we're going to see what's happening with the FBI whistleblowers. And we don't need that anymore. We've got to take our country back at the ballot box by being active. And I'm going to Columbia to be my delegate tomorrow. You're going on June 10th in Atlanta. So we'll be talking, Lucretia. We'll be talking.
Thank you. You got me wanting to go. USA, USA, USA.
And people can find you up on Facebook. You'll be up there tonight with your real news, and people can join the chat and become part of the program.
Absolutely. And if they have articles, bring the receipts now, because we just don't do, I love conspiracies because they always turn out right, but you better bring the receipts and bring the pain if you bring in the rain.
Absolutely. And you got my home number, so give me a call. And, don't be a stranger to me.
Absolutely. Thank y'all so much. Thank you, CS. And y'all text me, call me anytime.
All right, Lucretia. God bless. You take care now. Lucretia.
God bless you. You too.
A great friend of mine, a great friend of the show, and you get to know her, and she'll be a great friend of you, too. But I do believe, and yes, we do, we have our guest in on the line. He was kind enough to call. Meanwhile, my co-host is trying to call him. I want to welcome him back to the show, Robert Bork Jr. Good afternoon, Robert. How are you today?
I'm wonderful. Thanks for having me back.
Oh, man, you can tell my friend Lucretia Hughes, she's down in Georgia, and she's active politically down there. As you can tell, I'm active up here. You get that girl fired, and oh, my goodness, this is what America is supposed to be about. You got to get fired up about the issues. You got to get active in it, and you got to get yourself out there so the word gets spread and things get done. I'm fired up. I'm fired up for my convention tomorrow. I'm telling you right now. Did I lose you, Robert?
No, I'm right here.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know I was,
I was
commenting on your convention. I didn't even know what your convention is about. So
no, we have our South Carolina GOP convention, and state by state. We're starting to go through it. Hers is next month. Mine is tomorrow. And I have to say, I think this is about maybe the fifth or sixth time I've been a delegate in a row. So to me, it's old hat, but there's issues out there that are important, like the whistleblowers that we're seeing with the FBI, the things that you talk about in where you're working with the antitrust issues. There is so much that we can influence by becoming simply involved in local politics, because it's there that change starts.
It's absolutely true. At different times in your life, you say, I can't take it anymore. I can't do this. It's too exhausting. It's too, it's overwhelming. It's not, I can't make a difference. But that, of course, is not true. You can make a difference. It may be exhausting, but you can make a difference.
Yeah. And sometimes you feel like you're just being beaten down too much. Well, I always say, take a step back, take a good look at the problem, and see if there's another way to tackle it. And sometimes just changing shift, taking a few minutes, maybe a day or a week, just take a little step back, rethink it, and rethink on how you would address the issue. It makes all the difference in the world sometimes. Something as simple as that.
Absolutely. That's one of the reasons why I'm talking to you and why I've been doing this work in the antitrust area to try to keep the left from fossilizing capitalism and destroying our economy. I may not be going to conventions, but I am active speaking out, which I guess is one thing I can do.
Well, now, you're the president of the Antitrust Education Project, and what you have done is you have re-released your father's book, The Antitrust Paradox, A Policy at War with Itself. And people don't understand what this antitrust paradox is that you and he are speaking of, because they see things like, what was it, Netflix with that singer, all of a sudden, that wasn't Netflix, whatever it was, one of those Ticketmaster, whatever it was, this one singer, and also it's like, wait a minute, big box stores gobbling up little guys. Wait a minute, you can't do that.
Well, it's okay to be big, and it's okay to merge and acquire things. In fact, for a lot of startups, that's part of their strategy, is to come up with a good idea and build a company, and you're still small compared to lots of others, but then you want to attract the attention of the venture capitalists. And these days, many of the venture capitalists are big companies like Google and Amazon and others, and Walmart, and so that's part of the strategy of the smaller ones is to take that money that they make from selling their companies and going out and doing something else. I mean, Elon Musk is a perfect example of that. Whether you like him or not, the fact is he took, I believe it was PayPal that he was originally involved with, one of those kind of companies. And he, when he got bought out, he took that money, which was quite substantial, and invested it in making electric cars and rockets and putting satellites up into space that can bring the internet to areas of the world that don't have that kind of infrastructure. So he's done amazing things, and whether you like him or not, of course, and buying Twitter and freeing it from the crazy left that was running it. So he's done a lot of good things. He's done other things I might disagree with, but he started out being small and getting bigger and making money. And there's nothing wrong with making money. There's nothing wrong with being big, as long as you don't abuse your power and your market strengths.
All right. Now, our foundation of our nation was based upon the free market economy. You go out there, you have an idea, you have a product, you have a service, you have something that you feel you can offer to other individuals out there. And whether it's in exchange for other goods or a monetary exchange or other services, you had something you could build a foundation upon. And a lot of businesses, large corporations, started just on that small, little, tiny premise. But as things happen, and as capitalism does, there are going to be unscrupulous people here and there. So now government steps in. But now government has now overstepped. Now we have overregulation. So when you do have a small startup, it's very hard to start up. It's easy to let a big box store or a big corporation move in because, hey, listen, you got all these revenues coming into your community. A small little mom and pop soda counter is not going to mean a heck of a lot where you've got a Walmart. That's big revenue. So has government just taken this to the extreme where it's actually destroying now our free market economy?
That's a lot of stuff in that question. Let me.
We got half an hour.
Let me just. Okay, well, good. I'll try to get to all of it. My grandmother, my father's mother, used to complain about the corner grocery store, and didn't have everything she wanted, but she liked going there. And then a big supermarket opened up, in New Haven, Connecticut, near where she lived. And she shopped there, but then she said, "Oh, the corner grocery store is going out of business." Well, of course it's going out of business because she and others were going to the big store because they had more choices and better prices. And the big store that can do that for the consumer's welfare, is going to be the winner. Now, of course, then you have stores like Bed Bath & Beyond, who never figured out the next move when the internet economy began. They didn't figure out how to sell on the internet. And the one I live near Charlottesville now, Charlottesville, Virginia, and the one here, and I guess everywhere, they're all closing now because it's a dynamic economy, and there are going to be winners and losers. But we, the consumer, win because of that dynamism. And so I sorry to see Bed Bath & Beyond go because I kind of liked it, and I was sorry when the A&P store in New Haven closed. But I'm sorry to see some of these little stores and coffee shops and other places close because Starbucks comes in. But it's just the way of the world that there's going to be innovation and dynamism and new things, and people are going to vote with their feet and with their dollars, and that's what happens. And that it's the people voting with their feet that caused the little corner store to close, not Walmart or the supermarket didn't make it close. It just beat them in straight up competition.
Well,
for the most part, that's what happens.
Well, here now I had mentioned regulation, and I live in a fairly small town.
Yes,
actually it's not that small, But one of the big things we have been trying to do is get our local government to step back on all these regulations. And I sat in at one meeting of the review board, and they were trying to determine whether or not to accept the design of a business that wanted to come in. And it was an office visit. You didn't have a lot of, people coming in, sort of big footpath or anything. And of course, they went with all the normal regulations of having enough spaces for handicap, enough spaces for parking, blah, blah, blah. But it got down to the point where they were debating the color yellow that they were going to paint the building with, the color green they were going to paint the planter boxes under the windows, and exactly what sort of plantings to allow in those boxes and under the windows. And when they got down to the minutia of that, I said, wait a minute. This is a little bit too far. Am I looking at this the wrong way or the right way? Are they over-regulating, or are they just trying to protect the neighborhood?
Well, again, that's a complicated question. I assume that the community where you live may have standards about what they want their businesses to look like. You could be Houston, Texas, which has no zoning at all, and so that you could be in your house living next to a business, there's another house next door to that. And the signs can be however big and however colorful they want them to be on the main, on the where the businesses are located on the main drag, and they can be anywhere. Now, people in Houston seem to be okay with that, and if they weren't, they would vote people would run for office who would offer to change that, but they don't. And of course, you can be down. I've visited Hilton Head, South Carolina. If you play golf and vacation, and everything down there looks exactly the same. They have they've set up some sort of standard that your buildings all have to be the same sort of beige color, and the signs you can't have a big red and yellow McDonald's sign. It just says McDonald's in straight letters. And some people like that, and I guess they like it down there because they don't want it to look like
well, that's
crazy
why I
jumble.
live on the other side of the river, not down on that side. I don't live in the Hilton Head side of the river. I live on the other side.
Yeah. In Bluffton, or like
no. Bluffton's still that side. There's the Broad River crosses over.
Oh.
So Bluffton and all that, the Hilton Head, that's south of the Broad. I'm north. So we're proud.
Yeah. Well, anyway, but you get the idea. So they have where I live in a gated community, and your mailbox, all the mailboxes look exactly the same. All the stands that they sit on look exactly the same, and they even have the standard for what color black you have to paint the mailbox. So, I get it. If we all agree to that, that's fine. That's one example. But our government, particularly our federal government right now, is entirely overbearing and over-regulating, and there's a pushback going on. What they call the administrative state is under attack now, and the Supreme Court has already ruled in a couple of cases that's sort of trimming the powers of all the alphabet soup of agencies. And there's a big case before the Supreme Court now that would overrule what is known as the Chevron doctrine. And ultimately that would mean that Congress, the people you elect to actually make these decisions, would have to start making them again, start making more of them. They'd have to legislate and tell the agencies what they can and cannot do, instead of just sort of, when they have an idea, they pass a law and they say, oh, Federal Trade Commission, that falls into your bailiwick. So you decide how you're going to enforce that and what rules you're going to make. And we're not even, we're out of it now. We're the Congress. We're off. We're going to go off and raise funds for running for re-election. You guys fix that and go as far as you want. But that's beginning to get rolled back now by the Supreme Court, and that's a good thing, because I think there is too much government in Washington. The bureaucracy is too big. Some people refer to it as the deep state, but the administrative state is just huge, and it's one of the reasons why we run these gigantic deficits, because We have these alphabet soup of agencies and departments that just spend a lot of money and don't accomplish a whole lot, and they keep coming up with new things that they think need to be sort of the equivalent of our local communities, where they're telling you what color you have to paint your mailboxes. In Washington, D.C., they have policies that tell us exactly how we can live and what side of the street we have to walk on and all that sort of stuff. And that's one of the things I'm fighting against with this my work in antitrust. But it gets the Supreme Court, in trouble, and it's one of the reasons I think that Clarence Thomas and other conservative members of the Supreme Court are under attack now for alleged ethical violations, is because the left is saying, wait, we lost control of that branch of government, and so we have to do anything to stop those people. And so they're trying to, FDR tried to pack the court. Obama tried to pack the court. Biden's talked about packing the court. And he's trying, and he's, and so the left figures, well, anything goes now. It's free game. You have, of course, Chuck Schumer, and after the ruling, or before the ruling in Dobbs, threatening the justices, saying, you've unleashed everything, and now we're coming for you. And then people come and try to, assassinate Brett Kavanaugh. So I'm sorry, I'm sort of wandering around here, but that it's of the same theme that you're talking about, which is overreaching government, and then the left being upset that the government isn't doing what it wants it to do, which is to tell us how to live.
I think it was Tim Wu that said it's the policeman at your elbow, the regulations that the federal government put out there. But that policeman, and I don't mean to put down my brethren in blue, is drunk. They're drunk with power. And you've got a bureaucrat sitting in this little tiny cubbyhole, laughing their butt off, like, what is the craziest thing we can probably pull on the people and take control and feel powerful? You have them telling you how much water you can pump through your toilet, what type of light bulb you can put in your house. When it's gotten
what kind of stovetop you can have.
Yeah.
Right.
Whether or not you can have actual gas.
One.
Holy no.
Right.
How dare you? And now there's this brilliant idea that all these new electrical cars must have an AM radio in it. Well, I'm sorry. Did anyone when was the last time they bought a car? Anyone sitting in Congress? I don't think you can buy a car without an AM FM radio in it. Maybe if you buy something 1950 or before. But they want to have it where it's mandatory.
I thought they were telling you not to have an AM radio. I thought the latest thing was that they were going to tell you that you could not have an AM radio. Is that right? Maybe I got it wrong.
I saw that it must include an AM radio. Now I see they're banning.
Oh well, that's okay with me.
It's the car companies were considering removing AM.
Yeah, and that's why
that was
Sean Hannity's all upset. That's why Sean Hannity's all upset, because a lot of his stations that carry him and carry conservative talk radio are on AM. And
they're targeting us again.
Yeah, exactly right. That's exactly what's happening. So so they can't seem to find anything that they what was it Ronald Reagan said? If it moves, tax it. If it keeps moving, regulate it. If it stops, subsidize it. But so they're trying to regulate it now because it's moving and they don't like it.
They love that. They would love to bring back the fairness doctrine. Yeah.
Yes, we can't have that. So I kind of wandered. I kind of wandered off into the weeds there. I forget where we were going, but yeah, so the government is quite overbearing, and not that we don't need government. We just need a government that believes in individual liberty, that can function smaller. Otherwise, frankly, we're just going down the drain, because with $31 trillion in national debt, that's nothing actually compared to the unfunded liabilities this country has, which is in the hundreds of trillions of dollars. I don't know. At some point, we're going to wake up, and the laws of physics are going to apply, and gravity is going to pull this country down entirely. And just the weight of all that money that we owe.
Exactly. And there were several attempts when Trump was president to pass legislation. I think Ted Cruz was one of them that backed it, and I forget who else, two of them, that before any legislation gets passed by the House, they must explain how it's constitutional, how it falls underneath the 13 enumerated powers of Congress. If it doesn't, then it doesn't hit the floor. And we have not done that. We have not enforced the 13 enumerated powers that the Constitution gives to Congress. Instead, we have allowed them to do everything else. So therefore, Congress says, now we can do all these other things, but we're too busy. So we're now going to turn around and let the other agencies regulate it. Now they have the power of a regulation, has the enforcement of an actual law, which could cause imprisonment or fines, that has the penalties of a law, but it's a regulation. We have allowed our government to become so bloated, I don't know if we could ever reclaim it, can we? Again, I open
if I answer that question, no. We might as well just hang up and go home. I don't. I mean, I guess it's time to start digging a moat around your house and filling sandbags. But I have to believe that we can. It's going to be slow. It's going to be painful. And some of the things we're going to have to do as citizens, we don't want to do. And I don't want to be the one who calls for, restricting entitlements, because I'm almost 68 years old, and some of those things mean something to me now. They didn't before. But frankly, we have to all be willing. Good conservatives are willing to make sacrifices. Yeah. If they know that what we're doing is going to make a difference. Mm-hmm. And the left, my God, one of the reasons that Joe Biden and Kevin McCarthy can't seem to come to a deal on the debt ceiling is because the left is pushing very hard that we can't cut a single dollar out of the budget, out of anything, because, oh my gosh, the Republicans are trying to push, old people in wheelchairs off cliffs and all that sort of stuff. But we're going to have to, I think, figure out a way to begin to pare back this enormous empire that we've created that is very wasteful. I am not an expert in all of this, but every time one of these things comes up, I sit here and I tell my wife, why can't we just agree that we won't cut the thing that you want to keep and you won't cut the thing I want to keep? We'll just cut everything. Why can't we just sort of say, this year's budget, we're going to cut 1% or half of 1% across the board.
Exactly.
And there will be no sacred cows. Everybody takes a haircut. And let's see if we can do that. And I bet the stock market would go through the roof if we did that. And people's personal wealth would go up. I'm sorry, my phone is telling me it's a low battery. Oh, well. But we have time. I don't know why we can't just try something as simple as that. Take all of the confrontation out of it. Mm-hmm. Take all of the wheeling and dealing about what we're going to keep and what we're going to get rid of out of it. And just say everything goes. Everything takes a haircut this year, a small one, just a small one. Can we do a small one? And I'll even give you your debt ceiling increase if you let me take half of 1% this year. And then next year's budget will take 0.75 of 1%. And if we can get the ball rolling on this, maybe it'll make a difference. I have no idea whether what I'm talking about would actually work or what the problems are with it, but it seems it would take the argument out of the situation.
Yeah, you make it fair completely across the board. So it's not one side or the other side. It's everyone will feel it. And the one thing we have to also differentiate is between entitlements and then programs that we earned. For me, I paid into Social Security. So that money coming back to me is my money. I gave it to the government to hold with understanding that when I turn a certain age, I'm getting that back. Medicare is an insurance I pay for. I've spent my money putting into it until I came to retirement, and I'm still paying into it, and that is my insurance program. If you want to change the premium, then that's something that we're going to have to talk about, and let me allow to shop around and find the best for me. But with Medicare right now, you fall into it, you automatically go into the big program, but now they're allowing us to shop. There's things that we can do. Medicaid is an entitlement program, and there's other programs under Social Security, other than what I or you would collect, that are entitlement programs. Let's look at those. Maybe people are getting into the Social Security program that don't deserve to be in it. Maybe there'd be something else, like work. You work to back to work type of thing. You know, if you're able-bodied, you get a little bit until you're back to work, then you're on your own type of thing. But no, we don't do that. We're being punitive to that poor person. We have to look at these programs and start one after another. Stays, goes. But we start by cutting them all across the board and then look where the chips fall. And that's my way of looking at it.
Well, I don't disagree with anything you just said. Although, again, trying to pick off an individual program, is, the closest thing to immortality in this life is a government program.
Yes.
So I don't think we can do that. But, again, I think, you may actually, let me just go back to something else you said about Social Security and Medicare. That money's already gone. Mm-hmm. It's already gone. They've already borrowed against the Social Security Trust Fund to the point where it doesn't exist. It's filled with IOUs now from the government because they needed the money. So this whole thing is a house of cards. And at some point, somebody, and I don't know who that would be. Frankly, I don't think it's Donald Trump. I don't think he would do it. I think somebody at some point is going to have to run who has perhaps no political baggage, doesn't represent any particular ideology, but just, it's like, let's go hire ourselves an accountant or something and to run for president. And just going to say, look, I don't, you guys can believe anything you want to believe about your social programs and stuff. But I'm just telling you, there's no money. So we have to just start beginning to pare back a little at a time. And by doing that, we will save everything. And I'd love to see somebody do that, but nobody ever will. So now I'm being depressed. Again.
Absolutely. And someone was asking in the chat room.
Maybe I have to be positive. Let's be positive. Somebody will.
Someone was asking in the chat room about the $200 billion to Ukraine, and we would have had the ambassador, the Consul-General from Poland. He was going to speak on that subject, and he should be with us next week. So hold on to that question for next week because he should be with us. And it'll be an interesting question where we can also pare back the federal aid that we send overseas. That's a good area to start.
Yes.
Well, Robert, it's always a pleasure having you. And I'm always going to throw those curveballs at you, and you're going to go, wait a minute, this girl's got my head spinning.
I can handle it. Anytime you want to talk.
All right, and people can find you where? Where can they find you?
Well, most of what I'm doing these days is in this antitrust area. And so the Antitrust Education Project.org. I'm also on Twitter at Antitrust EDU, and I also have a personal account at Robert Bork Jr. So that's where I am, and on the radio talking to wonderful hosts like yourself.
Oh, you're such an angel. You have a great, great weekend, and God bless you for the hard work you do, Robert.
Thank you so much.
All right. Enjoy your weekend. All right. Robert Bork, check him out. The Antitrust Education Project. Check him out over there, as well as the Bork Group. We got our next victim up in our studio here. Want to welcome onto the show, Jason Shepard. Good afternoon, Jason. How are you today?
Good afternoon, Ann. Thanks so much for having me. I'm doing well.
Yeah, I got to say, I did go onto your website. It's called...
Okay.
Wait a minute, I got the wrong... stuff in front of me. What did I just do with it? Now, this is Robert Bork stuff. Where's yours? What did I do with your paperwork? Oh, come on. I had you here a second ago. Anyway, you've got a new app out there. Tell us about that.
Well, our newest app is Realster. It's Reelster, and it's a TikTok alternative that's American, 100% data private, and it also has parental controls so kids don't see filth. But our original app, actually, which is like it's a free speech version of Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok combined. That is called WIMKIN. It stands for World Must Know Now, in honor of free speech, and it's WIM as in Mary, KIN as in Nancy.
All right, now, I did go onto it this morning to take a look at it.
Okay.
And I did sign up, and I keep on waiting for you guys to approve me. Let me see if you approved me yet. Let's see. Right now I'm trying to sign in, and it's really pretty easy. And it's a very, very simple sign in. If I hit the right
Thank you.
keys. And I was wanting to get myself on there to see if I could broadcast the show to let people know that you're here. And yeah, that's why I figured. Let me do it there. Let me try.
I see you. I see you there. I see you there in pending approval. So I'm going to approve you right now. I apologize about that. That's actually a great thing to tell everyone is we manually approve every single account, so there's no bots and scammers and things of that nature. So, but you are approved there now.
Oh, fantastic! I'm somebody. Well, what I'll do is
you're definitely somebody. Southern Sense is very cool.
Thanks. Now you have to put your little personal
You're welcome.
recognize. I get that little check mark or star next to my name.
Oh, most definitely. Yep, I certainly will get you a check mark. We'll get you the gold diamond, and you'll be verified.
Well, since YouTube keeps on taking me down, and Facebook has taken down two out of the 3 Southern Sense I put up, I've got one still up there. I keep trying. I keep coming back for the fight. But
I think we all do. I mean, it's the nature. Sorry.
No, but they have been going after the social networks because that is the only place that we really do get to communicate with fellow like-minded conservatives or independents or libertarians.
Mm-hmm.
And we have seen what has happened on Facebook and YouTube and Twitter and everything else with the censorship, with these bots that go through and look for just little keywords, or if your name gets a little check mark against it somewhere in someone's office on their little blackboard, suddenly you thinking you're putting it out to say 4,000 or 5,000 people, but maybe only 2 or 3 see it. So how do we stop this? How do we counter it besides places like yours?
To be honest with you, I really don't know. I mean, it's hilarious to me that, our Facebook page was shut down twice for no reason whatsoever with no warning. And we have about 77,000 people on it. And, sometimes we'll make a post that reaches, it'll get 3,000 or 4,000 reactions. And then other times we'll make a post and it gets 3 reactions. So it's just, there's no rhyme or reason to it. And it's just their algorithm. And that's one thing about WIMKIN. We don't have any type of algorithm whatsoever.
So just basically, you look at the post and say, all right, fine. Okay, let it go through. Or otherwise, it's not going to follow our community standards. So you basically have someone looking and approving each post?
No, we don't have anybody approving posts. No, we have if anybody reports something, I mean, the only thing on WIMKIN that we actually censor is any type of pornography, any type of graphic nudity, or any type of criminal element, such as, threatening to harm somebody, people trying to sell drugs and things of that nature. Those things are the only things that we censor.
Oh, nice. So it truly is a free speech platform. Because I know Parler started off that way. And now Parler has been taken over by something else, and you can't even get into whatever that something else is, because it's like I keyed in Parler to see if there was like a link to send it to the new location, and it doesn't do that. So even those that started off with great ideas have also been shut down in one form or another.
Well, I'll be honest with you, Ann. Parler was never at all a good platform. If you just, and your listeners, if they just simply do an internet search with the term, the number 80, just 80, TB for terabyte and just type in Parler after that, you'll see that they're responsible for probably over 300 of the J6 arrests because they didn't scrub metadata from GPS locations at the Capitol. And they had no security whatsoever. There's no features or anything of that nature on Parler. So I don't like to dog those platforms, but I did warn people about that. And, just to send a message on their platform, you had to send in your ID, which is privacy is paramount to us. We would never ask for an ID just to have somebody send a message. So, and then you think about John Matz's ties to AWS when he was an employee there, actually an executive there. I'd like to know where all those IDs went, to be quite honest with you. So Parler it was a great idea in theory, but it seems like it was a honeypot to me.
Yeah. Well, right now, the senators have attempted to put in legislation to rein in government collusion with big tech. I think the J6 was a big heads up on that one. And I don't think anyone understood how deeply involved big tech was in colluding with government. And government would say, take the big stick and say, hey, listen, we want to know if you can tell us who was in the D.C. area, who rented a car, who rented a room, which is what was actually happening to go after these people that went down for the Trump rally and just got caught up in the J6 debacle.
Well, and I'll actually send you these documents after the show, but we had 2 demands from Benny Thompson himself with the Select Committee, and they didn't just stop there. They wanted information on every single person on our platform. There was no specific users. They wanted credit card numbers, which we didn't accept. They wanted phone numbers, which we don't have people sign up with, email addresses, which we don't even verify, and they wanted any type of, messages that were sent in between people on the platform. And they didn't send us any specific users they were investigating. They said, we want it for every individual on your platform. And we told them, in a very nice way, go kick rocks.
I was going to say pound sand.
Yes, one of those 2.
Well, it's good because the Wimkin, all it does is ask, give me your email address, put in a password. And I kept on looking to see for a verification. It's a good thing to know that you don't go and send a verification where someone has to click. You look at it and say, all right, fine, this looks cool. I'm going to approve it until you do something like post a new picture or something like that, something stupid. And you have a free platform. That is wonderful. And what's the other one you were mentioning? Because I did not get information on that one because you got to tell your guy, hey, give her all the information so she knows what she's doing here.
The other one is Realster. We just launched it. It's a TikTok alternative. As you just know, Montana just banned TikTok 2 days ago, and other states are going to follow suit on that. There's no doubt about it because of the national security risks. And so again, we're just giving individuals, first and foremost, an American platform. It's just like TikTok. It has more features than TikTok. It's 100% data private, just like Wimkin is. We won't share, sell. We don't even verify your email address, to be honest with you. On Realster, we do because there's some children there, so we kind of have to. But we don't share that information. And then there's also parental controls because TikTok is just a terrible, filthy platform. And, kids should not be seeing what's on there, to be quite honest with you. And that's where all these crazy trends where kids are getting hurt and they're, hurting each other and, just a lot of bad things are happening. So we also have parental controls where parents can control what their children see.
What's interesting, you're talking about that a lot of those that are being posted up there on TikTok and these other platforms are there to entice the child in, and it becomes a trap. And here in South Carolina, there's legislation going up that should be passed. I have to double check. It may have already passed and gone to Governor McMaster's desk. That one of our state legislators, his son, just graduated high school. He fell into one of those traps, and he posted some things he should not have done. And then they tried to sexploit him. They were trying to do an extortion on him, and the kid committed suicide because he was so embarrassed, so ashamed. 18 years old, getting ready to go to college to become a teacher to teach art. And people don't realize how dangerous these things are. We may talk about, it's horrible you're posting pornography. But why are they doing that? and who are they trapping in? And consequently, this state legislator,
Indeed.
God bless him, he made it a point to not let his son die in vain, has placed before us here in South Carolina legislation. Anyone caught doing this exploitation or the extortion and convicted will face up to 20 years in jail. It's no laughing matter
Very
anymore. Good. If we can save one child's
that's,
life.
Unbelievable.
And that's why I'm glad you guys will monitor for that. But what goes on in TikTok, see how many drugs you can take and whether or not you pass out. Go running across the middle of an intersection while the light is green. All these crazy things. TikTok is out there. But it's the Chinese government testing us to see how stupid we are to actually fall for this.
Absolutely. While taking all of our data at the same time. I mean, they are, I can't say they're smart, but obviously at some point in our nature, we've gotten very lax in, looking at security here. And I hate to say it, but anybody doing those things is very stupid. And I'd really want to ask what their parents are all about, because anybody who would run in the street like that, I mean, they're called TikTok challenges. And, you hit it on the head. The Chinese does not allow this app in their country. It's only for education purposes. So, we're getting a hardcore education in the wrong direction, I believe.
Exactly. And you used to work in the medical industry, and if they couldn't kill us with the COVID virus, well, why don't we just get our kids to kill themselves doing these TikTok challenges? If they're not going to kill themselves, they'll end up brain dead or lame and can't be worth anything in society anyway. So this is the best way to conquer America. And what do you think they're not thinking this?
I totally agree with that. They definitely think of this. I mean, they also can. I mean, they exploit our weaknesses, and they've already groomed. I'd say most kids from 14 to I can't say 21, but the younger generation right now is completely poisoned by TikTok. I mean, it truly is.
They also lure them in with the ability for them to earn all this money, because now you've got this million followers, and you get so much for every time you get more followers. So you get yourself a nice income until TikTok pulls the plug on you. Wait for that to start to happen.
You're 100% accurate. And that's why we put Reels there, so people can come over, but they're not going to be able to do their same stupidity there. But we have the same issue. We have the same type of gifting system and everything, where people can gift to others. They can pay for video ads and things of that nature, and we can compensate influencers as well through advertising. So, but again, we want ours to be clean, and we will never sell out to money. I'll tell you that much. We could have at Wimkin a long time ago, and we won't do that. We want to continue to better the world through our platforms.
Well, I'm going to have to check out Realster. That's Realster.
It's actually REE. Because real, like a film.
Okay.
So REELSTER. Mm-hmm.
And that's .com.
It's .io, and but there's apps in the Apple App Store and Google Play.
All right, so I'm making a notation on that, because I use computers as well as my smart devices. I'm multi-talented.
Yes, no, a lot of people love using the Wimkin PC or laptop, or even just a tablet, because it sets up really nice. And on Wimkin too, you can live stream your entire show. You can upload your entire podcast. We allow 50 gigabyte video uploads. So we're really the only free speech social platform where you can actually do things on. I mean, I love True Social. Obviously I'm a staunch conservative, Getter, everything like that. But you just can't do what you can on those platforms that you can on Wimkin. I mean, we have almost every single feature that Facebook has, and we offer free speech. So, and I think that's why the government came in so hardcore on us, because they saw we had way more avenues to get information out there and get more people over. And that's why we were banned from the app stores 3 days after Parler was. But we fought for 8 months and actually overturned those bans.
Yeah, well, I went to sign in, and I signed in to Facebook using the old email. And said, you were banned back on January 23rd of this year. You got 30 days to... I said, well, heck, it's more than 30 days. You think I'm going to now complain anymore? But I'm just waiting to see now, because I mentioned China, I mentioned COVID, I mentioned J6. Let's see how quick YouTube and Facebook take me down today. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, so I do work with Wendy Bell, and she would get banned for pretty much literally any type of tag word they call it, or buzzword, whatever you want to say. And yeah, I would say you put yourself at risk there, to be quite honest with you. And I apologize that I'm your guest for this is happening.
Oh, no, don't apologize. Don't apologize, because I'm going to have my next guest coming in from the Heritage Foundation. We're going to be talking about the illegal immigration. That'll really go boom. What do you think?
Oh, boy, you're going for the trifecta. Wow.
But, how many people have you been able to get over to the platform? What was what was the goal you're looking at?
I mean, our goal, we would have been probably, to be honest with you, at 50 million people right now. We were the #1 app store in both app stores when we were banned by both. But we have, right now, we just did it yesterday. We did a bot scrub. So we're around 8.6 million actual users. All the bots have been removed from the platform again. And I'd say there's about 650,000 daily active people. That means, that are coming to visit it. They're actually having active logins. And it's kind of hard to tell, though, because your app's connection stays open at all times. So, if you're not active on the platform, we don't contact that. We don't count that as an actual active user. So.
No, it's interesting because I really don't look at numbers. I have not figured out how to do the numbers on my show because I'm on so many different platforms. I just shoot them out all over, and I don't keep track, honestly. I don't even know how to do that. But on my home page, I did keep track. And I opened the home page, maybe 3-4 years ago, and it was really slow on getting hits to it. But lately, the last 2 years, the numbers have just jumped. And I was actually surprised. Good. As of this morning, before coming on air, I was just about a little over 16,000 shy of hitting 3 million hits on my homepage. And I'm going, wow.
Oh, that is so great for you.
I mean, because the last time
you have great content. I mean, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I was surprised when I hit 100,000, but now when I'm just creeping up. So guys, if you're listening out there, go to Southern Sense, put a dash in the middle, and be another click on my page.
Yeah, I mean, you have great content. Your subjects are great. And let's be honest, people are actually starting to really wake up. And I don't mean get woke. Well, they're doing that too. But people are starting to understand. I mean, even on Wimkin, we have a bunch of, let's say at least left-leaning people coming over and starting to learn. And they're, converting at least over to common sense. I won't say they're converting their party. But, that's why you're doing so well, is because your content is fantastic. And, people are actually starting to wake up, and they're starting to use their own eyes to actually see what's going on in the world.
Well, it's funny because at the start of the show, we had a musician on, Vaja, and she's got this great song out called People Are People. And this is what we forget. As conservatives, we don't honestly forget that. But sometimes we find our back up against the wall, and rather than thinking it through and seeing, is there a way to talk to this individual, or are you just going to lash out? The left is great at lashing out. And the idea, the thing is that if they're going to lash out at you in anger, walk away and then look for that person you can talk to. That person that's going to be reasonable. Because there are far more reasonable people out there than people that are hating. And if we can reach those that are reasonable, we can actually turn the tide. I mean, I love doing something like this because I'll sit in our local little gin joint, and my late husband would always crack up. And I'd be talking to someone that sits on the left side of the fence. And I love if the bar or whatever the restaurant has a news program on. And I'll use the news program, and we'll start talking about whatever's going on. And at the end of the conversation, I'll look at the person and says, you know what? We got more in common than you think, because we're both thinking along the same lines. We may be approaching it a little bit differently, but the end result is we're both agreeing on something here. When that light bulb goes off, you know you won.
No, I totally agree. And, that's one of the good things also, again, I hate to keep touting my platform, but it actually comes into play is, you'll have those hardcore left and those hardcore right individuals that are going after each other all the time. So, and it should be intelligent debates, but sometimes it's pretty much, unintelligible, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But, it's something that, we have a good group of individuals. I mean, true conservatives are some of the best people in the world that would really give their shirt off their back and actually would sit and listen to others' opinion and, not force anything down anyone's throat. But, in a world where we're conditioned to hate each other right now, it's kind of like an oasis. And, but yeah, I think that, when this president that we have right now, if you want to refer to him as that, was going to be the one to unify the parties.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just gotten worse and worse and worse in terms of division and hate. And, until we stop this, the media conditioning and, even, I don't know if you got a chance to watch any of the whistleblower.
Don't get me started on that one.
I don't want to say hearings, but yeah, you could just see how much angst and animosity is in between these people rather than, they cannot sit there and state that, hey, this really happened, or they're trying to do anything to discredit these whistleblowers, and even in the media they're calling them Jim Jordan's whistleblowers. I mean, it's such a stark contrast. Like, the one thing to me that Democrats really need to brush up on is actually getting common sense and thinking for themselves.
Absolutely. I mean, I listened to Debbie, what's her name? I won't even go with her full name. Debbie, what's her name? Schultz.
Wasserman Schultz.
No, I said, what's her name?
Yeah.
It's what's her name?
oh, yeah, sorry.
You get it? But she was turning.
Yep, I do.
She was saying, well, the FBI doesn't recognize them as whistleblowers. That's not how the whistleblower law is written, Debbie, what's your name, Schultz?
Right.
And Jim Jordan was good and right at pointing it out. That's not how the law is written. The FBI doesn't get to determine that the person ratting them out is actually ratting them out because you're going to accuse me of doing something bad. I'm going to turn around and admit the fact that you're right. I don't think so. That's not how the FBI and bureaucrats work.
Yeah.
Just...
You hit that perfectly on the head. And Wasserman Schultz, to me, should have probably been investigated by the FBI for what she did in the election and just in the primary with Bernie Sanders, trying to slander his name in the South, and then working, hand in hand with Clinton in many different avenues.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know how she's still in politics, to be honest with you, but but I hear you on that.
And then you have...
We're going off on a tangent now.
But you also had the representative from the Virgin Islands, which my mother and father lived for a long time. And I'm listening to her, and I said, excuse me, are you even on the same planet, lady? And everything she said was a complete lie. Now, what I found annoying was that other female, the one who was wearing that crazy pink jacket or whatever color the jacket that was, the heavyset woman with the blonde hair, deliberately interrupting. And when Jim Jordan goes, well, we can do this all day, and she kept on going and going. It's like, I think someone finally tapped her in the ribs and told her to shut the heck up. But if you watch this and you watch how they are trying to corrupt an honest hearing, it makes you wonder if there is any sanity left in our government.
No, and I'll tell you what, Ann, it's a scary time. I mean, I'm sitting there yesterday, and I'm like, you've heard that term, don't make a federal case out of this. I mean, I think everyone's heard of that, to where, it's a very big deal when someone gets indicted, and it's a very big deal when they go through this, criminal process. The fact that you can't trust the FBI now, I mean, I'm sitting there thinking, who actually investigates the FBI? Who can actually go in there and prosecute these people for doing what they do? And it's really mind-boggling, and it's actually quite scary to really think about that, we are at an actual breaking point here in our country to where it could be lawlessness. I mean, it seems like the FBI right now is lawless.
Who's going to invest the FBI but the FBI? And the Department of Justice will
task
the
I guess
FBI
the Inspector General does, but...
Yeah. But they task who?
Yeah.
Someone from within the FBI to investigate the FBI.
Exactly. So, I mean, it's unbelievable, to be quite honest.
Yeah, it is. And it will come to a boil because now the American people are seeing what's going on. And if you watch a lot of these other news organizations, you're starting to see the light bulb go off a little bit at a time. You're still going to have the hardcore lefters the socialists. You're still going to have those hardcore. But you're starting to see some of them going, oh, wait a minute. Maybe there is a problem here. And maybe something that we have been shouting from the top of the mountain for the last 20 years may have some truth to it. Maybe this does have some traction. And we can't shut up now because I think we're getting traction, Jason. I think we're getting that traction.
I really do as well. I truly do. And I'm glad to be at least playing some part of a role in that. I mean, free speech is what our country was founded upon, and I will keep pushing it until the day I die. I'll tell you that.
Well, I'm going to start putting a lot more postings up on Realster, and I'm going to first sign up for that one and get some postings up on Wimkin, because thank you for approving me. See how easy it is, folks, to go into it? Wimkin.
You are so welcome.
I mean, that's how easy it was. You just turn around and say, get your ass over here. Get me approved.
Yeah, no, it's, I mean, that's the thing. We work, again, we want to keep the cleanest platform. And, I re-signed up for Twitter after I lost 700,000 followers on Twitter. And, now I have a whopping 500 people on there. And I'm not even kidding, Ann. I have more messages from scammers than I've actually put tweets out. So, and when he said he cleaned 50% of the platform of bots and things, I don't believe much of what he said. And obviously with his new Twitter hire as well for the CEO, with the World Economic Forum ties, with her, having a vaccine campaign with Pope Francis, with her literally telling him basically when they first met, at a live symposium where she was interviewing him, that you need to moderate content. I really think Twitter is going to be dead in terms of free speech here in the next 3 to 4 months.
I'm kind of agreeing with you because I find that I put a lot of postings out there and I'm not getting a lot of response where I used to. I will get maybe 3 or 4 people that will repost something I put up, and that's it. And meanwhile, it was showing, I think, I may be wrong, if it was either Facebook or Twitter, but there's something like, at one point I had something around 10,000. And the last time I looked at my account, I think it was down to 656. No, excuse me, how do you go from 10,000 to 656? I know Facebook is somewhere around 4 or 5,000, but that was even a higher number at 1.2. Now, YouTube, I'm down to 7. That's it.
Wow. I'm so sorry to hear that. I mean, one thing I can tell you is you'll be safe with us. And, but last thing I'll tell you too about just Twitter. I mean, I re-signed back up when Musk took it back over. I was like, okay, there could be some hope here. And then the very first thing I did is I paid $500 to run an ad for Realster, which has absolutely nothing to do with Twitter. It's not a competitor platform or anything. And then they immediately banned my ad account because it was for a competitive platform. So I can't even post ads anymore or anything of that nature. So, I don't trust anything that's going on there. I understand that he needs to hire somebody because he lost most of his advertisers, meaning that he's doing very badly for his shareholders. So, I commend him for at least trying to make a change in terms of actually getting his shareholders' money back, but it's not going to be what he promised, and all the conservatives that came back are definitely going to leave.
Yeah, I mean, I post maybe once a week, and that's it. I don't even look at it. I used to look at it all the time. I don't anymore. And the same thing with Facebook. Sure. I like post up my Tea Party meetings. I still run one since 2009, and I post up the show. I'm not on the social networks like we used to be because we've gotten so turned off. I mean, I would rather send out an email blast to my members than to go onto social media and find all that work I did. It was just a waste of time. And that's how we basically feel.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean, the amount of growth we had, that we were actually being number one in the app stores and everything, and to actually lose our Facebook page at the same time, have PayPal ban us, to have, Capital One even ban me from my own personal accounts because we were selling Trump memorabilia and we had a free speech platform that was, collecting subscriptions from people. I mean, they all work together. They really do. And then after all those things, we beat all those bans. The next thing for them to do is send the J6 committee after us. So, there's really no rhyme or reason to it. We keep servers in different countries just in case we ever have to move them off of the United States. And I mean, it's like that. It's like free speech is technically a war if you think about it.
It is right now, and we're on the front line. And thank you for being the general on the front line, because we need more generals like you, more platforms like yours. And you know what, Jason? You're welcome to come back anytime.
Oh, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And I've seen some of your articles, and I love the show. So keep up doing what you're doing, and I'm really glad to hear about your growth.
Oh, thank you so much, and God bless you, sir.
You too. Thank you again.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Jason Shepard, check him out at Realster, REELSTER, as well as Wimkin, WIMKIN. And let's welcome back to the show. We gave her a week off, and a lot has happened during the week. So now we can turn around and lamblast her all over again, hit her with everything, see if she can knock it out of the ballpark. Hannah Davis of Heritage Foundation. Good afternoon, Hannah. Welcome back.
Hey, how are you? Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Well, since we last talked, Title 42 hit the wayside. Did we see a drop in immigration by any chance?
No, not at all.
You hear the little facetiousness in me. But I got into an argument with my fiance until he finally saw the light. He was watching all these other news programs, and I'm saying, they're lying. And he's saying, well, the numbers are dropping, I says, no, you don't understand what they're doing. Our government, this administration, is in collusion with the Mexicans on the other side, and they're controlling just how many people come across at what time of the day. They're playing a shell number game with us. Am I looking at this correctly?
You are. There's actually there was an 8% increase in illegal immigration through the ports of entry. So the Biden administration has basically told these illegal aliens to stop trying to smuggle their way through and just come through a port of entry. We'll let you go. We'll give you a court date that's 4 or 7 years away from now. We don't care if you come in under a fake name. And that's what they're doing. They're listening to the man.
Well, it used to be you had it within a year or so. And the time frame has gone longer and longer and longer. And you're saying now it's between 4 and 7 years?
Yeah, I mean, there's people that've got court dates that are for the soonest I've seen is 2024, and that's rare. I've seen them as far out as 2027.
Wow. Are they still giving them the Obama phones?
Yes, they're giving them brand new phones once they get processed through, and apparently that's how they're supposed to be checking in on the CBP One app. But the app itself is it can't take that many people. It's been crashing over and over.
Well, you know what I find, and I say I was laughing, but it's really truly sad, because as you see them crossing over, you see them on the Mexican or the whatever side they're on, you see them coming across, they already have cell phones or smart devices. And yet we go ahead and give them another one, courtesy of the Obama administration program. Why? Do we have an answer for that?
Well, why do we do anything? We give them everything. We give them health care. We give them driver's license. We're giving them the ability to vote in local elections. We're paying for their children to get in-state tuition to schools. I mean, we're putting them before our own citizens, and the American people deserve better.
Yeah. Well, we saw, according to the charts that you wonderfully put up on heritage.org, we saw the fact that crime and other things have decreased underneath the Trump administration, and it has just exploded under this current administration. But the only reason why they could be trying to flood us now with illegal aliens, no, they're not undocumented workers, they're illegal aliens, is to then grant them easy citizenship, which once they have a driver's license or a government ID, who's going to prevent them from voting and being recognized as an illegal, as a legal resident? Is to change the way in which we vote and forever change what party leads our country.
Exactly, that's exactly right. They'll eventually get granted amnesty, and they'll be able to vote. And some states are so lax, even the ones that don't give out driver's license to illegal aliens will still allow illegal aliens to vote, unbeknownst to them, because they have such lax voter laws. You know, if you could show any proof of ID, some places, some states, that's a bill, a utility bill. that shows your residency. Some places that's an ID to a community college. So what the states can do is they can start enacting much harsher, I guess you could say, or stricter voter registration laws. And with that will come the effect where they can't vote, and they won't be able to sway our elections.
Well, here in South Carolina, we like to consider ourselves very conservative, but we still have in place motor voter. They still have it in place.
Yeah.
And it blows my mind because I went up, I was there with my fiance, and he speaks with an accent, but automatically, would you like motor voter? And
right.
And how do you know this individual? You didn't ask for any proof of citizenship, even though he does have it.
Exactly.
But the fact that it wasn't even asked, and that disturbs me.
That's two things states can do.
Mm-hmm.
They can make sure that the definition for residency includes legal, lawful definitions, and they can also couple that with denying any form of access to driver's license and thus voting. If every state just did those two things, our elections would be a lot more protected from illegal aliens being able to vote. And that chart you mentioned earlier, if you look, it hasn't been updated, but all the other CBP and Border Patrol, all the other numbers are up. And it's interesting to me that they've updated all of their numbers except for the ones that deal directly with crimes committed by illegal aliens. And I wonder what's going on that they want to keep from us. So, and if you look at the terror watch list, the numbers are astounding, absolutely terrifying. We've had 16 arrested in April alone, 16 illegal aliens that were on the terror watch list. That's more than fiscal year 17 to fiscal year 2020 combined.
Wow.
So it's bad.
Well, you're a pit bull. You will find out what's going on because you are the research assistant at Heritage for Border Security and Immigration. We will get those numbers up there. I know that. So I'm counting on you. We all are counting on you. But we were talking about, the motor voter thing, and this is what struck me also, because at the time that this was happening, when I was there in motor vehicles, a gentleman came in who had moved in from another state. He had moved in, got a new job here. They asked him for proof that he moved in with a bill, a new address. And here he was. He was as apple pie as you can get. And yet, the person that spoke with the accent, you didn't ask. And you should be asking every single individual, not this person here and not that, only that person there. This is where we have with the enforcement of the agencies that everything is done uniform. You can have the laws on the books, but if they're not adhered to, it means diddly squat, right?
That's exactly right. There should be no discretion when it comes to enforcing voter laws, immigration laws. But unfortunately, the current administration has kind of set a precedent, and that's what we do. That's what we do here in the U.S., and so the states are likely to follow.
And then that's unfortunate.
Down to the local level.
Well, here's the other problem now, because now they already have their state-issued ID. They go to vote. Now, in some areas, certain states say, they can only vote in local elections, like for dog catcher or school board, but they can't vote on anything more serious than that. How do you prevent that?
Mm-hmm.
Just how? What are you going to do?
How do you prevent them from voting at all?
Exactly.
I'm listening.
It's another way to get your foot in the door, and it's not just the foot. They're throwing the whole cinder block through the door. They're knocking it wide open.
Yeah, it's letting the camel's nose in the tent, essentially. And basically, states they need to redefine in their legal code what a lawful resident is. They need to redefine the laws and the requirements for applying for driver's license. And they should probably go ahead and pass laws that double up on those and say, and by the way, regardless, there's no illegal alien allowed to vote in our state and local elections, because you're just right. It's going to be petition-based, smaller things, school board, or as you said, the dog catcher. And once you let the camel's nose in the tent, the whole kit and caboodle is going to open up. It's like Pandora's box. And so you'll see that happening. Yes, the whole tent's going to fall over. And we're seeing that a lot in sanctuary cities. And it's going to catch up to them. And so that's another thing. If you just stop being a sanctuary city and stop allowing illegal aliens to harbor within your town, that'll nip that in the bud pretty quickly. You know, we can't rely on the federal government to do too much right now under the current administration, but the states have a lot of power, and a lot more power than I think sometimes they'd like to use. And if we go ahead and change lawful resident definitions and codes, and, you know, don't let them get driver's license, don't let utility bills and community college IDs allow someone to vote, that'll curb it. That'll curb it real quick, and it'll bring back the integrity of our elections as a whole as well. I mean, it's astounding how many illegal aliens are have voted in past elections, or how many people have voted twice, that kind of thing, or voted in jurisdictions that they shouldn't have been voted in at all.
Yeah. I'm shaking my head because I am afraid if we don't get this administration to start adhering to our immigration laws, we may forever lose this nation. Because whoever becomes president after this is going to have to do a reversal. And then how are you going to locate? We've got millions. We don't have hundreds of thousands. We have millions of illegal aliens now buried in the fabric of our nation that we may never be able to find. And I would say the vast majority we will never be able to find. You make it a strong administration in there, and some people will self-deport themselves. But those that have various purposes here, like how many Chinese age illegal aliens have come across the border? How many from, oh, good Lord, brain fart, radical Islamic nations have come across our border that we are aware of? And you said known terrorist lists. We've had military-aged men coming across, and we don't know where they're going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've had over 1.5 million illegal alien gotaways, and there's no tracking them. I think some people have a little bit of hope that you'll be able to track the ones we've given the phones or the ankle monitors or the court dates 10 years from now. And maybe you can say there's a little bit of hope for that. I mean, they're not going to show up to their court dates, and we're not going to be able to track them, but I can understand where someone's coming from when they have a little bit of hope about that. But the pushing now 2 million gotaways, no, we're never going to see them again. And they're going to continue to proliferate crime and whatnot in our local communities.
Well, I think the turning point is going to be New York City, because what is going on there today in New York City, once it erupts, I do believe it will explode across the nation and maybe start that reversal, because he's housing illegal immigrants, illegal aliens in hotels, in school gyms, in other facilities where they should not be. Now, as I saw the news this morning, 50% of the hotel rooms currently in New York City are housing illegal aliens. And we've got tourist season.
Who do you think's paying for it?
Tourist season's right around the corner. Yet, those rooms that were originally housing our displaced homeless veterans have been evicted to make room for illegal aliens. Wait a minute. Men and women that served our nation and gave us their all and are now in need of our help, we displace to put individuals who crossed illegally into our country for whatever reason, good or bad, and we're bending over backwards to help them with housing and food and clothing and medical and education and you name it, and Obama phones, can't forget the Obama phones. And we evict our military men and women, our veterans that we owe everything to. I'm pissed. I don't know about the rest of the listeners, and I'm pissed.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. And yeah, the public school gyms are now simply just being used to house asylum seekers. And so not only are we kicking out, our homeless veterans, or even if they're not homeless veterans, I mean, they're still U.S. citizens. We're kicking out our U.S. citizens from hotel rooms and giving them to illegal aliens. But we're also kicking the kids. They can't do gym when, the gym's housing 600, so-called asylum seekers, and that's dangerous. These people haven't been vetted. We don't know their past. We don't know if they're smugglers. We don't know anything. We don't know if they're human traffickers. The Biden administration just tells them to come here, and there's like hardly any time to vet them, and then they're here. They're taking up our hotels. You're exactly right, and they're taking up our school gyms. And to the outrage of a lot of parents, a lot of them Hispanic as well. Nobody wants that around their children, and it's a shame. It's a crying shame.
Well, the worst part about that is in the schools, there's no guarantee you're going to be able to control them to remain in one area of that school. So they're going to have access to the cafeterias, to the bathrooms, to the locker rooms. They're going to be interacting with these children. We don't know what diseases they're coming across. We don't know if they're pedophiles or if they're human traffickers or if they're drug dealers or they're just freaking crazy. And they're coming there to the most vulnerable population of our society, our children. And yet we've got record obesity and health problems with our children because they're not getting enough exercise. And we take the one thing away from them that keep them at least moderately, a little bit healthy.
Right. Yeah, you're exactly right. And then the ones that are hanging out at the hotel rooms, I've seen reports from people who work at the hotels that there's trash everywhere. They're demolishing rooms, putting holes in the walls. There's fights breaking out. There's drug violence. It's not a good show. It's basically tent cities. And, I can think of, one, if the Biden administration is going to house these people up in hotel rooms or, up in schools, they could have just detained them at the border. They could have not slashed ICE beds by 25%. They could have kept them, where they were at and where they were supposed to be until they were properly vetted and either deported or released with a court date. They could have done that. But instead, they're like, no, we're going to take it out on the American citizens. We're going to fill the schools with them and we're going to fill the hotels with them. And it doesn't even make sense. It's so backwards. The policies are backwards.
Yeah, go ahead, Curtis. I know you're chomping at the bit.
Yeah, Hannah. I know we hear a lot about Governor Ron DeSantis, but from my memory, we have more red states than we have blue states. And if we have more red state governors showing, some form of leadership, like you see out of Governor Ron DeSantis, I think that would change a lot of things in this country, and it would impact the upcoming election. Now, I know not every red state governor controls both houses and their capitals, but with leadership, you would think that that would go a long ways in protecting our rights and doing what is right. What is your thoughts on that?
I completely agree. And even if it doesn't create a cascading domino effect to other states, at least their citizens within their states will be safe. What was DeSantis? He recently passed that E-Verify, and if you don't use E-Verify, regardless if you're a seasonal agricultural worker or you're someone at a mom and pop shop, you'll be fined. It's little things like that states can do to protect their own citizens from illegal aliens and even if they're harmless, even if they're non-violent illegal aliens, they still shouldn't be riding off the backs of American taxpayers. And so it's little things like that. And hopefully when more states do step up and see that, it shouldn't be such a partisan issue, immigration laws. They're just common sense issues. And there's common sense laws we can pass. And other states hopefully will see that and they'll start acting. These sanctuary cities, these blue states, it's already catching up to them. New York City can't handle the busloads Abbott sends to them. Denver can't handle the busloads Abbott sends to them. They're starting to realize that they can't do both. You can't protect your own citizens while allowing illegal immigration to just harbor illegal aliens in your cities. You have to pick one, and hopefully they'll stand up and pick their own citizens for once.
Well, what's happening is these sanctuary cities no longer can handle it. So what do? They bus out the excess to outlying communities, and that's not going too well, is it, Hannah?
No, it's not. It's not. These people, they're, like we said a few times already, these people aren't vetted. We don't know who they are, what their history is. A lot of them come in, with different names. That Honduran national that broke today, he was released by the Biden administration and he was just charged with raping a teenage girl. And he came in through a different name. and he had some sob story claiming credible fear. And there's just no vetting. There's no vetting anymore, and it's a crying shame because it's only going to affect the U.S. citizens. And that example of the Honduran national is just one, and it's something that the sanctuary cities see a lot more than the non-sanctuary cities. And hopefully, common sense practices will start to override their political ambitions when it comes to just following the current administration. And I think it's starting to slowly happen. New York City, they say they can't take anymore. Then change your sanctuary policies. So it's one thing to actually see the left say something that we've always known, that they wouldn't be able to take anymore. So it's starting to slowly happen. They're starting to slowly wake up, and hopefully a lot faster than it took for them to get here. Hopefully more states will notice that too. And if the states start, de-incentivizing illegal aliens from being in their states, then they won't come here. They won't come here.
Well, we have to start first by taking federal funding away from these NGOs, these non-government agencies that are aiding the migrants coming over. They get thousands upon thousands of dollars per body they bring over. Plus, they get the additional monies of subsidies for every program they get them signed up with, be it Section 8 housing, welfare, food stamps, Medicaid, whatever. They get a piece of the pie. We cut that
plane
pie.
tickets.
Plane tickets, yeah. Excuse me. If we cut the NGs off at the knees and say, hey, listen, you're supposed to be a nonprofit, so make your way through only donations. The Catholic bishops, the Lutheran Church. If you want to be truly a Christian charity, then depend upon pure charity. So people that do support illegal aliens, let them dig into their own pockets to subsidize these individuals, not the American taxpayer. Cut it off right there. And you know what? We just might see a large amount of that border being closed because now they're not going to be incentivized to go across the border and say, well, this is how you get across the border by claiming asylum because you're in fear of your life because of whatever. Let's cut them off right there.
They give them a blueprint and they say, this is what you say, this is what you don't say. And, by the way, here's some money for, an immigration lawyer while we're at it. Here's some clothes. Here's your phone. Here's all of this. And I agree. If people who worked for NGOs spent half of the time they do trying to facilitate illegal immigration into actually helping streamline legal immigration, we'd be in such a better place. But it's just not where their mindset is. Well, but you're absolutely right. If we cut them, not at the knees, but at the ankles.
Mm-hmm. And then, find out who's printing all these T-shirts and signs that they carry across. I'm sorry. You use Chase Bank, you use PayPal. I'm sorry. We're not going to allow them to be recognized as a bank in the United States anymore. I'm sorry. You can't use it. Oh, no. I want to know who's printing all these T-shirts and signs and who's marching them in group and providing the buses and everything else they're riding to get across. No one's asking those questions, and we need to ask those questions too, Hannah. Hannah, we're down to our last few minutes on the show. It is so much fun having you with us always, and you never know what this administration is going to hand us because they're always handing us something to run with.
That's for sure. Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
It is our pleasure, and keep up the good work. God bless you. People can find you at heritage.org, where you work hard and tirelessly for us. God bless. All right, Curtis, we are down to our last few minutes. We do know that Ambassador Kubicki, the Polish Consul-General here to the United States in New York, has said he would like to be with us next week. He could not be with us today because of a last-minute meeting that I got called into. Excuse me. So hopefully he will join us next week. I've got some other people that wanted to come in next week, too. I got to take a look at my list. But tomorrow I'm heading up to Columbia, South Carolina as a delegate for the South Carolina State GOP and see what we come up with. I've got some questions I want to ask and some resolutions that will help change the path that we are on and bring us more into a conservative pathway for our party. We got to take back the GOP from the rhinos. The winos and the rhinos. How's that sound?
Yeah, so keep us informed on the going on, what y'all come up with.
And it was a pleasure having Lucretia Hughes pop in. I got to make sure I still have her phone number with me because I was going to call her when I saw her phone number Wednesday. And yesterday, I was getting ready to call her. All of a sudden, I ended up being rushed to the hospital, which was no fun. But it is what it is.
Never is.
Anyway.
Yeah, I'll send you her number.
Yeah, I probably do have it on my phone, but I got to rush as soon as I get out of here into another direction. Want to thank everyone that joined us. We had some new people in the studio, some new people over in the chat over on Blog Talk Radio. Want to welcome those that came in. I did not check Facebook or YouTube, but thank you for joining us over there. And yes, I see Duck was over at YouTube. I am paying a little attention. And then, of course, James was over on my homepage. So, yeah, we got people showing up all over the place. I am going to go over to Realster and get the show posted over there also, as well as Wimkin. Check it out over there. But that's all I got. And I'll leave everyone with my friend Gary Pecorella, Save America. And that's what we got for now, Curtis. So I say good night. And God bless until next week. We're waiting for my little computer.
Be safe out there.
Yeah, my computer is being a little stubborn. It's not giving me the next scene. There it is. Let's get that up. All right, and here we go. Gary Pecorella, Save America. Oh. Here we go. Come on.
I'm praying for this land I love, America, America, the home of the free. But there are people making plans to change America. They've no respect for her or what matters most to me. That's why I stand for the flag and I kneel at the cross. Mourn for the friends I have loved and lost. And I still believe in God we trust, and the freedom our forefathers granted us. I hope it's not too late to save America. Do you hear our battle cry across America? We've got to rescue her. You know it's up to me and you to see the truth behind their lies. Don't change America. God bless America and the red, white, and blue. That's why I stand for the flag and I kneel at the cross. Mourn for the friends I have loved and lost. And I still believe in God we trust, and the freedom our forefathers granted us. I hope it's not too late to save America. We have loved and lost, and we still believe in God we trust.
90 seconds.
Our forefathers granted us. We know it's not too late to save America. Save America. Together we can save America.
60 seconds.